welcome into DC On Screen episode 637. This is the podcast that covers the DC Comics multiverse on film and television, gives honest opinions on projects upcoming and past, and believes that every version of a property is valid, even if we don't want it to be. If it has been released, it is fair game, so beware of spoilers, and welcome to the show. I'm David C. Robertson, and my esteemed chatterbox brother-in-arms is not actually here to be introduced, but that's fine, because I won't be for long either. Our present selves, anyway, won't be. This week, it kind of looked like slim pickings on DC News, and seeing as how we just quietly celebrated our 6th anniversary doing the show, I thought it might be fun to go back, grab episodes 9, 12, and 27, remaster them, cut the dated news segments, and present the full trilogy of 3 of our favorite episodes, DC Movies That Never Happened, parts 1, 2, and 3. The full trilogy all together in one easy-to-digest package. Before that, though, we gotta thank the patrons. If you want to join their hallowed ranks, the ranks of those who really make the show possible, $1 a month is all it really takes. That gets you every episode ad-free, every regular episode ad-free. $5 a month gets you that plus whatever else we decide to put up. And there's definitely a little something coming this week. It might even be up by the time you hear this. I just don't know what it is yet. So, I can't say it. And that's available to all of our $5 patrons. Patreon.com/DC on screen. And if you don't want to deal with Patreon, or, if you already do and you want to help us out more, DCOnScreen.com, click the donate button. It's, except for the losing of money, is relatively painless. And if you want to support the show, get some swag for it, you can go to our merch store. That's linked on DCOnScreen.com. Right next to the donate button, it says store, or it's like right underneath if you go to the drop down menu on mobile. Super easy. Or you can leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. I guess that helps us. I don't know. It's free though. Anywho, that's the haps. So get ready, because you are about to be transported back 6 years. Be aware, we do discuss some Joss Whedon DC projects that never happened. And damn it, we just didn't know the man like we do now. Forgive us, O listener, our trespasses.
Alright guys, today we are going to get into a whole bunch of, if not all of, the DC movies.
I have to doubt all of.
Everything that we could find about it anyway. All of the DC movies that were never made. These were DC movies that were in development or being pitched, and we thought it'd be fun to talk about that. I believe we've got 23. We've got a list of 23 movies, and we're going to split them up over 2 separate podcasts, because some of these get pretty in-depth.
Yeah, and I kind of lost track of the count after a while. There's so many of these things. They just, every time you blink, a Batman movie comes in and out of existence.
Yeah. All right. So these are some of the DC movies that have never been made. Now, I wanna preface anything that comes after as this. A lot of this stuff is just ensconced in rumor. Mm-hmm. So not everything we say is going to be 100% accurate, because I've done the research and apparently no one is ever accurate. Comment sections are full of people complaining that, like, oh, well, you said this or this, but this is different, and that's not true. And I'm like, yeah, but you read a different article that says a different thing, and I've heard some of the producers involved with some of these things, and they all contradict each other. So keep in mind that certain things, you're never going to be happy with anything.
They're not. Trying to find a good common, a clear-cut thread of reality, trying to do any of that with any of these movies, no. You look up whether eggs are good for you on the internet, or whether you should freeze tomatoes, or it's the same kind of anarchy.
Right.
It'll never be solved.
Now, some of this doesn't actually even involve Warner Brothers, because some of this goes back a bit. But this does actually have to do with Warner Brothers.
When did Warner Brothers get involved? What was that year?
Well, Warner Brothers. I don't know the year, because it's not all together. It didn't happen at once. Like Warner Brothers would have one property, and then they would grab up another property. And then at some point they wound up buying DC. Mm-hmm. So then, of course, from then on, it was fine. But even I was reading, and it's not something I even listed on the rundown for the show, because there was just nothing about it. There was a Shazam movie that was in the works in the very early 2000s. They were talking about doing that. I should say for the first time, they were talking to The Rock about being Black Adam, and then they were going to do that, and Warner Brothers hurry up and grab that property up, and it was going to be done for New Line anyway, and then they wound up buying New Line. So I mean, the world of movie production is always fluid.
Right.
All right, let's jump into the Ivan Reitman, Bill Murray movie, The Batman, 1983.
This is it. Losing this movie was either the greatest thing that has ever happened to mankind or the greatest tragedy of the 20th century.
Right. I mean, it was written.
It was either one of those, and nothing in between.
It was written by Tom Mankiewicz. This is the guy that went and this is the dude that wrote Superman 1 and 2, the Chris Reeve movies.
He has street cred.
He does have street cred,
especially during that time.
There is a link to an article. It's not an article. It's a transcript of a Starlog magazine interview that Tom Mankiewicz did, and this is early on. He'd written the script. I've also got a link to that script that has been leaked online.
All of that'll be up on the page. Like a bunch of these links are going to be there if anyone wants to check out our citations and whatnot.
Right, we've got a fair amount of
dutifully posted things for us.
There are a lot of scripts that are actually floating around online.
I mean, if you're just plain bored and actually remember how to read real sheets of paper, yeah. Scripts are out there.
I mean, I might go back and read some of these things just to get a full view of what's happening.
There's a couple I'm going to dig into.
But yeah, like in the Starlog interview, Mankiewicz is saying that he would rather it be an unknown be cast as Batman. He wanted Peter O'Toole as the Penguin. He wanted, I just blanked completely.
And that's how forgettable that cast was.
Peter O'Toole, I've heard rumors, though, that Peter O'Toole was actually being considered for the Joker as well. And that would have been amazing. Yeah. But, yeah, Bill Murray, Ivan Reitman directing, Bill Murray in a Batman movie.
Like, Ivan Reitman, Bill Murray, Batman. Fuck you, take my money.
Yeah.
We're done there. And
apparently they wanted David Niven as Alfred and William Holden as Commissioner Gordon. And there was apparently some talks that David Bowie might play the Joker.
And I would have given anything for like pre-Labyrinth or even around Labyrinth era Bowie to do a take on the Joker. That would have been phenomenal.
But in the Starlog interview, Mankiewicz said he wanted Jack Nicholson as the Joker.
It's not like that would hurt anyone's feelings, but damn.
Well, no. I mean, we've seen that, and
yeah, basically everyone who's ever seen The Shining wanted him to be the Joker.
Yeah.
I don't think the chronology of that seems pretty easy.
Not me, man. I wanted him to play Robin.
Right. I had Calendar Man picked out. Let's do it.
Speaking of Robin, apparently Eddie Murphy and Michael J. Fox were both being considered for the role of Robin.
And that is where this train starts to derail.
Eddie Murphy, yes.
Up there with
Michael J.
right
Fox. Wait. Eddie Murphy, yes. Michael J. Fox.
Okay, maybe Michael J. Fox. Maybe.
Wait, Bill Murray is Batman? Bill Murray is Batman and Michael J. Fox is Robin?
See,
you
I think
better
that's why
believe I'm there.
I know, I'm watching it. But I think that's why the movie never made it. They got tired of trying to figure out the tone. Because imagine you're telling a writer that, hey, we're going to write a serious Batman movie. Reitman's going to direct, and somebody's already going, okay, all right, Meatballs, Ghostbusters, cool. No, he's going to direct a serious movie. Oh, okay, we're doing a serious movie. Okay, well, who do you have for Batman? Bill Murray. Okay, who's Robin? Michael J. Fox. Oh, okay. No, we want you to write a serious movie now. And then someone goes home and tries as hard as they can to sit down and write a deliberate, dramatic movie starring Bill Murray, and they can't do it.
Well, Mankiewicz said in the interview, which again was very early in any of these talks.
How do you not put a joke in his mouth?
Mankiewicz, well, I mean, we're looking at Mankiewicz who wrote Superman. I mean, Otis Berg, the Gene Hackman, Midwestern huckster Luthor. I mean, there's room for jokes, but he was saying he wanted it to be very dark and he wanted Batman to be very frightening. He even described in the interview he describes Batman's gaze as hypnotic, like God, what's his name? Dude from Death Wish. He just wanted him to just be frightening, like you crap yourself just looking at him.
Now that is how the Bat is supposed to be designed. That's the whole point of Year One, right? Is they're not afraid of me yet. And if anything is to be taken as source material, it's gonna be Year One,
now,
right?
To be clear, it's rumored that there were 9 separate rewrites by 9 different writers.
I believe that. We live in a world where the Flintstones, I believe, had 190 or 160 different rewrites.
Yeah.
9 isn't even a very large number for rewrites or writers. Like 3 out of every 4 scripts apparently have to go into arbitration because no one can figure out who wrote it by the end of it.
Now we'll end out this one with a quote from Bill Murray. I would have been a fine Batman. You know, there have been a number of Batmen. I like them. I thought Mike Keaton did a great job as Batman. It's a great role.
Yeah.
That was Bill Murray on being offered the part of Batman. He was actually also considered for the Tim Burton Batman movie before it went to Keaton. So
I want to find audio of him saying that somewhere and just reparse all the words together so that he's saying I'm Batman, and I'll just play it on a loop, and that's as close as I'll ever get.
I just want a giant poster of Bill Murray that says I would have been a fine Batman.
Yeah.
Like the hubris on that cat.
Surely that's a t-shirt somewhere. Surely that's a t-shirt. If not, someone please make the t-shirt. We'll buy it.
I might, you know what? I think I might actually make that t-shirt. I might make that t-shirt.
We're branching out into merchandising.
I'll put up notes in the show links. Oh God. I'll put up links in the show notes of my I would have been a fine Batman Bill Murray t-shirt.
I mean, Bill Murray had the chops too. Don't let him fool you. Don't let him fool you. He can do dark and scary when he feels like it. If he wasn't such a good vocal actor, if you just watch some of his films on mute, he can look scary.
He can.
He's downright scary in the Speech in Stripes. If you watch that on mute and don't realize that he's being incredibly fucking funny, it looks like he's intimidated, that he's breaking up a fight because he's the manliest man in the room and then intimidated everyone into obedience.
Yeah,
by the end of it, it looks like a Nazi training camp. And all it is him talking.
I am always on board a tried and true known comedian being given a very serious role. Because if they can nail comedy, they can nail anything. And comedy's hard.
It's harder. It's harder to go back. If you're already funny and I have to accept you as being, serious, I'm not going to get a laugh out of you. That's harder to do than if you were already a dark guy. Well, a laugh is a knee-jerk reaction. It even helps if I can't see it coming.
Plus, generally, the kind of people who become comedians, I say this as a person who has a bunch of comedy videos online, and generally, you have lived a life of shielding yourself emotionally through laughter. Like you have been pouring yourself into, make them laugh at you before, or make them laugh with you before they laugh at you, and laugh at yourself before they can laugh at you, and let's find all the dark, terrible things that I hate about the world and make fun of them. Right.
This is one of the reasons I've always loved the Joker as much, is he's a perfect example of.
Yeah, I was just thinking. Until just this moment, I didn't realize how close I was to being the Joker, but here we are. All it takes is one bad day.
You wouldn't fit in his suit. It'd be like a Joker Penguin kind of mishmash.
Well, I mean, I'm not like the Penguin Man. I mean, come on.
I don't know. I always think of the Joker as felt. I don't.
Hey, the original Joker was a little tubby, and you look at Nicholson, man. I mean, he wasn't exactly svelte, as you put it.
No, he was not a warrior. That one.
Oh, he was a warrior. The Battle of the Bulge.
Should we find another movie?
Sure.
I was afraid of going into Bill Murray Batman because we could just do a show about how much I wanted that to happen.
Yeah, but that's what everybody cares about, right?
Bill Murray Batman. Come on.
Yeah, Bill Murray Batman. We'll take however much time we want.
Fuck the rest of this. Yeah. Put away all your notes.
Right.
We're just doing that for an hour.
All right. Now, of course, the Bill Murray Batman didn't happen. Instead, Tim Burton's Batman happened. Tim Burton's Batman Returns happened. And evidently there was some talk, and this is heavily disputed.
We should
Tim
just
Burton,
premise that as instead of saying it every time, just know that it's heavily disputed.
Right.
We should just leave that out for the rest of the.
So apparently there was Tim Burton's Batman Forever, which they were talking to Robin Williams as the Riddler. Billy D. Williams was going to be back as Two-Face. Rene Russo was cast as Dr. Chase Meridian instead of Nicole Kidman.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Michael Keaton was going to be Batman again. Now, there is a rumor that Marlon Wayans was going to be coming in as Robin.
And that's where I parachute off the plane.
We know he was cast as Robin in Batman Returns, but they wound up dropping Robin from the script. When Tim Burton left, Keaton
impish
followed.
Little man in Hollywood is running around whispering in someone's ear that Marlon Wayans should be Robin.
From everything
Why?
I have seen,
that is an act of true evil.
From everything I've seen of Marlon Wayans, the only thing you could really truly hope for is Robin running around trying to get Batman to smoke some weed with him.
That's what I'm saying. He peaked as a stoner in Scary Movie. That's the role he was born for, and bless him, he achieved it. Now let's put it to bed.
And he had that movie. What was it, Senseless, where all of his senses got enhanced through some chemical, and he could just all he did was just for 2 hours he just made like a stank face because he kept smelling things.
That sounds right. That sounds right.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, and in a turn of events that you'll start to see after a minute is, it happens a lot. Burton leaves, Keaton follows.
Well, really just that once. But.
It's just that once, but it's usually director leaves, main cast follows, whole thing falls apart.
Yeah.
And it's often after the network has sent him back some weird notes. Like, I'm sure Burton was on board, and then he got a note from, again, some evil tiny man saying that Marlon Wayans should be Robin, and thought, oh, well, fuck this.
You know who'd be a good Robin?
I'm
the
off
least
to shoot
talented
Johnny Depp
Wayans
20
brother.
times. What?
The least talented Wayans brother should be Robin. I'm certain of this. But I don't know, man. That has Tim Burton decision making all over it.
I don't know. I can get behind Billy D. Williams as Two-Face. No, I'm
well,
down.
I mean, he was Harvey Dent. He was Harvey Dent in the original '89 Batman. That was the whole reason he signed on to be Harvey Dent, because he wanted to be Two-Face at one point.
That's why you do it, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure D'Agosto didn't care to just do a Harvey Dent that never turned into Two-Face.
Right.
He's on that show right now because someone promised him that eventually he could get into makeup.
Yeah. And you know what they should do? They should do this because Schumacher came in, recast pretty much everyone.
Yeah.
There was never a script for Tim Burton's Batman, but you know what would be kind of cool if in Gotham they just like they did in the movies, they just all of a sudden Harvey Dent goes from being white little Nick D'Agosto and then becomes Billy D. Williams. No explanation.
Why? That's right up there. That weird, tiny, evil man who keeps suggesting Marlon Wayans as Robin is standing behind you right now, isn't he?
It's retribution for the Two-Face we lost.
What spirit is it? Like, go find some sage and burn it in your home and get rid of this evil spirit.
All right, on to Tim Burton's Catwoman now. If you'll remember
virgin hair. Burn it. Okay.
Yeah, the final shot of Batman Returns was Catwoman, showing up. Or that was her last scene, therefore indicating that she was going to be back. Tim Burton wanted to do a spinoff movie. He wanted to do, from what I understand, he wanted to do a spinoff movie with Catwoman, who would once again be played by Michelle Pfeiffer.
Sure.
There was a script written by Daniel Waters, and it was turned in on, apparently, the day Batman Forever came out.
A day that will live in infamy.
And Batman Returns got a lot of flack from parents.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have the Penguin making dick jokes, biting people's noses. Disturbing character.
Lean off.
So Warner Brothers kind of freaked out, and they were like, well, Batman Forever, we want it to be kid-friendly. We want it to be, a movie that people won't have a problem taking their kids to.
Well, the parents were legitimately confused because they were at McDonald's, and you get a Happy Meal with this little terrible penguin action figure, which reminds you, and unfortunately your child, that the Batman movie is going to come out, and you're like, well, okay, fine. I like Batman. We'll go watch that movie, and then you get in there and you realize that you've scarred your child Yeah, no, they actually had kind of a point. And my point isn't that you're not supposed to make Batman movies gritty. You obviously should. That goes without saying. My point is that you don't put them in fucking Happy Meals. These are not Happy Meal characters. They have shows for that.
My personal viewpoint, my problem with Batman Returns was that it was boring. Like when I was a kid, I wasn't taken aback by Penguin making his dirty parasol jokes. I understood. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. I mean, Umbrella's a penis. Oh, okay, I understand.
I'll take the whole movie just for the one shot where Keaton looks over his shoulder and realizes that he almost got killed by a couple of penguins.
Yeah, that is a great shot.
I'll take the whole movie for that one
shot.
You can hear the internal dialogue. Holy shit! Almost got taken down by a couple of damn penguins. I fight super villains.
Yeah, I have to say that's always been one of my favorite shots in the entire movie. It always cracked me up. And
it's just you forget that Keaton is in fact funny, and then you see that shot, and it's
okay. We've both listened to Fat Man on Batman, and they did a review of the Batman Returns movie, and Kevin Smith cracks up over that one little scene, and it's so subtle, but it's hilarious. I was just so happy that Kevin Smith saw the same thing I did all those years, because everyone I'd ever watched the movie with, they were like, "What are you laughing at?" And I'm just like, "Because he almost got killed by the penguin."
You just started laughing and never fully articulated yourself.
Yeah, he totally had this like, what the hell was that? Are you serious?
Throwing penguins at me. Damn it!
A penguin just shot a literal penguin just shot a rocket at me.
I donate to like 20 environmentalist actions. How penguins are trying to kill me?
I just drove upside down in a tunnel.
All right, we should try to move on.
So obviously, what happened though with that was Batman Forever was a big hit. They wanted to go more family friendly. The road to Batman and Robin, unfortunately, was well into being paved, and Catwoman wound up in development hell for a few years, and then wound up being rewritten a number of times, and
eventually dying as Halle Berry.
Yeah, but Ashley Judd was going to play her at one point.
I actually wouldn't have. It wasn't like Halle Berry playing her was a problem for me. That's fine. Just make a fucking decent movie.
No, you know what? Halle Berry is a terrible choice, and I say that because Halle Berry is a terrible actress. I don't care. I don't care that she has an award on her shelf. Everything I've seen her in, she has sucked. Yeah, I mean, I was forced to watch a couple of scenes of Gothica. Actually, no, I did watch Gothica, and I wanted to kill myself. The X-Men, Storm is easily the worst part of those movies.
I actually agree. I don't know. She wasn't even the worst part of that film, I guess is my point.
Right.
I don't think she could have. I don't think she didn't have the chops to play Catwoman. It's not that intensely of a. It's not that intense of a character. It's not like she's really not that intense of a background. Like the biggest, the most complex story that she's got even is out of Long Halloween, where she's possibly one of the major mob boss's daughter. And then, then the list gets pretty short.
Well, I mean, she was a hooker. That's pretty. I mean, she was a street savvy hooker, man. I mean,
well, yeah,
that really does. That takes some acting chops to get right.
I don't know.
To actually play that well, but without a... Anyway.
We've lost more time on Catwoman than anyone has in years already.
No. So anyway, Batman and Robin came out. Huge critical failure. Huge monetary failure. But Schumacher wanted to make it right again. And I should say that Schumacher did. He was fully responsible for those damn bat nipples. And even he has said that he will be haunted until the end of his days with those bat nipples. He says it will probably even be on his gravestone.
I'll make sure
he's not. He's not wrong. I will one day track down Joel Schumacher's tombstone and draw bat nipples on it.
Right.
But to his credit,
in chalk, we're not vandalizing here. Rain will take
I'm vandalizing. He vandalized my childhood. But to be fair,
so you're
to Joel Schumacher,
vandalize his deathhood. Okay.
To be fair to Joel Schumacher, he did want Batman Forever to be a much darker movie, but
his vision when it started was actually the way to go, and it all fell apart.
Yeah. And by the time you get to Batman and Robin, they had they brought in and said, okay, well, here are the toys. write a script.
Yeah.
And what
And
do
then
you do with that?
Used what looks like an algorithm to decide that Alicia Silverstone should be involved in any capacity.
Right.
That cannot be anything but an algorithm and a misplaced comma.
Oh, Clueless. We have to put a... Oh, okay. So, yeah, talk about Clueless. Anyway.
Some producer's daughter really loved that movie, and he made her a birthday promise.
Yeah, I know.
That's my secret.
We'll get into Batman and Robin at a different time. Anyway,
well, my point
Schumacher,
is that in his version, Alicia Silverstone and Batgirl were not involved.
Mm-hmm.
Go Joel.
Yeah, from what I understand, that was the case.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Schumacher wanted to redeem himself in the eyes of the fans. He wanted to make... he hoped that the failure of Batman and Robin would kind of bring Warner Brothers back over into the middle ground. And he pitched a thing called Batman Unchained, which has also been referred to as Batman Triumphant online. This would have involved George Clooney and Chris O'Donnell coming back. Scarecrow and Harley Quinn were going to be the villains.
Mm-hmm.
There were talks with...
a Scarecrow that would have been at least slightly unique.
Yeah, this was a satanic Scarecrow, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was going to be, and Schumacher even remembers going to the set of Face Off. Y'all remember Face Off, right?
Yeah.
What a delightful romp. Actually going to the set to ask Nick Cage to play the Scarecrow.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine he said no.
Oh, no, why would you? Batman and Robin had just happened, so he'd probably be like,
yeah, but he probably pitched it to him
that.
as, man, you're the one who can save this. You can bring some legitimacy back to this movie. Like, fuck Travolta, he couldn't do it, but you could.
Yeah, you're
Talked
probably
him right
right.
into
Nick Cage wouldn't have said no. I mean, he's got 2 Ghost Rider movies under his belt.
That's all I'm saying. The man tried to be Ghost Rider.
He's a comic book fan. He'll do anything they tell him to.
He really is. Also, he spends a lot of money. Now, they were going to have him do it, and he was going to have... now, this particular version of Crane was the same brilliant, psychologically based fearmonger, but he was going to be a little satanic, and it was a personal vendetta against Bruce Wayne. Wayne
and
himself.
Harley Quinn was going to be the Joker's daughter, like Jack Nicholson's Joker's daughter.
Now,
and
that's even
hated Batman.
You're not even intimating that it would be. No, specifically his daughter. He was gonna tie him together.
Yeah. She was gonna be like a toy maker, and she hates Batman because he killed the Joker in the first Batman movie. And it would have they would have teamed up, and Crane figures out who Batman is, and they try to drive him insane. They try to drive Batman insane, and they have him sent to Arkham Asylum.
Right.
And apparently, it all culminated with this big sequence where Batman would have to face off against all of the previous villains of the franchise. They wanted to get Danny DeVito back, Michelle Pfeiffer, Tommy Lee Jones, Jim Carrey, and then Jack Nicholson himself.
It actually, at that point, and this is... I've always wanted to see this done in some capacity, but at that point it actually starts to sound like Grant Morrison's Arkham Asylum.
A little bit, yeah.
It starts to sound like just a mind trip through the abandoned portions of Arkham that only certain people have ever seen. And it's a good way to get the Joker back in general.
Mm-hmm.
You still want death to count. Come on now.
Yeah, you want death to count, but I was excited about this pitch. I remember these rumors coming out in '98, man. I mean, I remember this.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the movie would have ended with Batman and Robin. They kind of break up the friendship, and then Robin does eventually come back to help Batman, stop everything. And the script ends with Bruce entering the Batcave and bats swarming around him, and the credits roll.
Sound familiar?
That was in Batman Begins.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the writer Podosevich says that he's not saying that Batman Begins took that from his script, but he does say it was a very powerful image.
Right.
And it is. It's a cool
he
image.
just basically
It's cool
said
as
someone
hell.
was going to get that at some point.
Yeah, they were. Apparently, they did sit down and talk with what's her name, Courtney Love, about playing Harley Quinn, but that wasn't really a big.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, that one hurt a little bit. That one hurt a little bit to find out.
Yeah. So at the same time, Warner Brothers. A lot of this happens at the same time. Warner Brothers is looking at different ideas for where they're going to go with the Batman franchise after the failure of Batman and Robin. They get in contact with Lee Shapiro and Stephen Wise, a couple of writers, and they tell me that we want to go off in different directions. Let's see what we can do with this, and that's how we get Batman Dark Knight, Darknight, basically, which is basically Dar Knight.
Right.
It's such a dumb title.
It's just an overuse of the squeezing two words together phenomenon.
Yeah, though this will make us look clever. No, it won't. It would have starred George Clooney and Chris O'Donnell, and the villains would have been, once again, the Scarecrow and Man-Bat. Now, this is pretty interesting. Shapiro he says, our script was just a direct answer to the last movie, that being Batman and Robin. Mm-hmm. Everything we were doing was, what did they do? Let's not do that.
So far, so good, Lee. Keep it going.
It begins with a retired recluse of a Bruce Wayne.
You've already lost me.
Some tragedy happened. It made him retire. Dick Grayson is off at college, and he's being all Nightwingy. But he has a professor.
He's got a very specific professor again, and we're back. Mm-hmm. I don't know who. Again, there was another little tiny demon roaming around demanding that everyone cast Scarecrow. Now, him, I get behind.
Well, I mean,
Scarecrow is one of my favorite of the rogues. And
at this point, if you've already done the Joker, you've done the Penguin, you've done Catwoman, you've done Riddler, Two-Face, Mr. Freeze, and Poison Ivy. Who the hell else do you have left? Scarecrow.
Well, Clayface, if you have the budget for him.
And which you don't. Right. CGI wasn't up there. It wasn't that good.
Right. I mean, and then you can pull in Raish and all that stuff, but... Anyway, I would have gone with Scarecrow too. I'm down.
Sure.
And this one would have been really cool. They wanted to make him a living scarecrow, they said. Mm-hmm. So he's suffering from a disease that makes him impervious to pain. So he's got analgesia, but he's that's the cool touch for me. If that I haven't actually seen that used anywhere. That would be a really neat tweak on it. Is he can't feel pain, and I assume that translates to how he can't feel fear. That's one of my. When people do him right, that's part of what they're using. The Scarecrow is not supposed to be able to fear anymore. That's why he's so fascinated by it. That's why he loves inflicting it on people. He loves watching it. But at this point in his life, he's become so immune to it. And that's where I'm hoping they're leading with Gotham. By the way, that one kid got an overdose, and now hey. But the one part I didn't understand is and this is their quote: his sense of touch is off, so it's heightened his other senses, and it made him like a living scarecrow. I don't know any scarecrows that are particularly aware. So I don't know what they were going for with that exactly.
Yeah, I don't know what that was supposed to be.
Right. Someone please feel free to interpret that sentence for me, because I kind of read it, and I've read it 5 times, and just it became a jumble of words that made no sense. Now they were going to actually scar his face with Man-Bat and let him stitch himself up and cauterize the wounds. So he was actually going to look like the fucking Scarecrow.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. But
I kind of like that he was experimenting on people, that he went to experiment on Dick Grayson because Dick Grayson was being a dick to him in class and being like, oh, you're not right about these things that you're saying in front of people. So
he does what every professor wishes he could do to smartasses.
Gets him thrown into Arkham Asylum to experiment on him. He's already experimented on Dr. Kirk Langstrom, one of his contemporaries there at the college, and has turned him into Man-Bat. And they wanted this to be a trilogy. This was going to be the first of a trilogy. In the third act, apparently, Crane releases all the inmates from Arkham Asylum. One of the doctors is Harleen Quinzel, who winds up in a coma and would have come out of the coma in the sequel and been Harley Quinn. Yeah, apparently Dick is still Robin in this movie, because by the third movie, he would not be in the second movie, but he would be in the third movie as Nightwing, and would come to help Batman fight Killer Croc and Clayface. So apparently they were planning on Clayface.
Yeah, I don't think Batman needs help with Killer Croc and Clayface.
Yeah, right?
Find somebody else. Find somebody bigger. This is where you need a Raish.
Now, Warner Brothers eventually passed on that deal. Apparently they did.
And another Scarecrow was lost.
Yeah. Schumacher was still trying to get in on the whole bit. He was still trying he was still connected to the franchise. He was still over here trying his best to get them interested in something that he had to say. And one of his pitches was The Dark Knight Returns. Because I believe this, that if you've looked at the number 23, you've looked at Enemy of the State, if you've looked at The Lost Boys, or there's so many movies you could look at of Joel Schumacher's falling down and go, you know what? He could have done a really good Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And for all intents and purposes, Batman Forever had a lot of great Batman elements in it. Like there are times where they almost got it right.
Mm-hmm.
So Schumacher is a Batman fan. He stated this over and over again. So of course he loved Frank Miller's take.
Now it's more defensive than anything. He's
right.
crying out over the rallies of "I hate those nipples" that he does love Batman.
He does love Batman. So Schumacher's The Dark Knight Returns, another another project that didn't ever really take off the ground, get off the ground. And I gotta say, I like his choices for Batman. He wanted to get Michael Keaton in some old makeup, or he wanted to get Clint Eastwood to play old Bruce Wayne.
That's right, guys. Dirty Harry was almost fucking Batman.
Right, and who better to play the Dark Knight Batman than Clint Eastwood?
I can't think of anybody. I mean, John Wayne's already dead, so.
I want I want a Batman versus Superman where Clint Eastwood is Batman and John Wayne is Superman. That's what I want.
No.
So when they said no to that, Schumacher tried to do a Batman Year One, but they just kind of ignored him and shuffled him off into the darkness, into the neon highlighted darkness.
And I blamed him. I blamed him fully until we started looking into this. And at this point now, I feel like he completely got shafted.
Yeah, I mean,
he wanted to make a good movie, and they kept sending him these terrible, terrible notes. And he had to make the movie they paid him to make at the end of the day, because that is how this shit works. So
yeah, I mean, like I said, it wasn't even notes. It was like, here are the action figures, build it around it. Like they've said that, like they base their costume designs on the action figures,
right? Which is you get what you put into it. If you put into a bunch of toys, you come out with a bunch of cartoon terrible figures.
There's actually
and they attached his name to it and made it like Joel Schumacher's Batman and Robin, or Batman and Forever and everything.
Right.
And yeah, when it all failed, they went, well, it was his fault. No, he's sitting here trying to pitch good ideas, and he's going deep track too. At this point, he's getting desperate. Going, look, Dark Knight Returns, Year One, we can do these. No,
and there are anecdotes on the special features for Batman and Robin where there's a particularly damning anecdote where someone says that Schumacher would walk around and say, "Remember, everyone, we're making a cartoon." But within the context of Schumacher's complaints, it almost sounds like he was saying it sarcastically.
Yeah, I'm starting to kind of believe that he was really going, "Remember, everyone, we're making a cartoon."
Yeah.
Like he really had just finished reading the memos sent down from the previous day's dailies and just gawked at them and thought, what the fuck am I doing with my life? They're going to make me ruin Batman. Do you know how hard it is to ruin Batman? But they're going to make me do it. It's a
all right,
man.
so yeah, it's about this point that Warner Brothers finally just laid down the gauntlet. Not all of those things were coming about at the same time,
right.
Roughly the same time, and then Warner Brothers throws down the gauntlet and says, we want to reboot. We don't want to continue this Keaton through Clooney thread. And they grab Frank Miller.
Apparently, they at least listened to Schumacher's notes on which books they should go pick up.
Yeah, well, if you have half a brain, you're already kind of thinking that way anyway.
I'm not willing to trust that they have half a brain.
Yeah, well,
I think that's fair.
It's probably fair.
I mean, I'm not going to implicitly trust that these people were using both sides of their brain. I'm just not going to do that.
It does. It seems like some executive somewhere pointed at a lower tier of executives and said, "Go to a comic book shop," and they all went, and they're like, "I know, I know, it's scary, but go down there and ask the fat man behind the counter who's eating a cheeseburger what the best Batman stories are, and to be clear, don't put on a suit. We want you to go put on, a skeezy pair of shorts and maybe a worn Power Rangers t-shirt, and go down to the comic shop and ask this guy what he thinks.
Go through costume design downstairs and see what they have.
Right.
See if they have what they have in the area of kind of a, I don't know, stoner San Diego slacker. Go pull that outfit together.
See if they have a shirt that has both chili and semen stains on it.
Right.
Go down to the comic book shop.
Ask the large, well-informed man.
Right.
What you should be looking into.
And they did. They went and they bought all of the comics this
hopefully
guy
he warned them,
recommended.
now that man will mock you heavily. He will sneer at you.
Yeah.
Because those poor
He
people
will-
came back with their tails between their legs, I guarantee it.
I think, I think he's smarter than us. Don't worry about it. He absolutely is. He absolutely is smarter than you.
Look, he can read.
Don't worry about it. Oh, man.
But somehow,
So-
a copy of Year One made it into circulation at WB.
It did. And, Frank, they
Probably
grab up Frank
translated
Miller.
into pure picture form.
This is where we get the Darren Aronofsky Batman Year One. Darren Aronofsky, obviously the Fountain, Requiem for a Dream, teams up with Frank Miller, and
Which
they
sounds
write
like a
this-
dream team, right?
It sounds like a Requiem for a Dream team.
Right.
Oh, God.
Oh, I'll hit you later.
Yeah. I'll probably hit myself.
There have to be punishments in life, Dave.
I know.
Actions.
So
need
Frank
consequences.
Miller says of Darren Aronofsky, he had really specific ideas about the character and which way to take it. I was surprised at the time because I tend to be the more radical of any team I'm on. But it was Darren who was much more radical than I was. I said, Darren, would you be willing to be faithful to the comics? And he was ready to rip the eyes out of them. We just had a wonderful time bashing around the story every which way and developing these characters. Now, in the script, Bruce rejects his inheritance and won't claim it until he can prove to himself that he can support himself.
Elements of that have shown up in the New 52 stuff with Scott Snyder. Elements of it.
I don't know. Yeah.
Think about Court of
But
Owls. Look at some of that. Or Zero Year, I mean.
Yeah, 0 Year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he lives on the streets of Gotham as a bum. He works he works as a short order cook.
And the train is derailed. Go ahead.
Yeah,
That's my point.
that's kind of really weird.
I did not come to watch Batman Year One and watch Batman flip a fucking burger.
Right, and how does that doing that ever actually lead to him proving to himself that he could be Batman? Whatever.
I don't
So
know.
he
I
takes
mean,
the fortune.
does he have like one good night on the actual grill where he owned it? He fucking owned those orders. He's thinking to himself,
Yeah.
I just took care of a bus full of 37 people in under 30 minutes. I can be the
Right.
Bat now.
Right,
But
right.
that- no,
He-
that's not the high pressure training you need.
He got to the point where he could flip the burger with the spatula off the grill and onto the bun behind him, and he goes, "All right, I'm ready."
I'm ready. Right.
So anyway, also in the story going on,
he can prep
Gordon,
the fuck out of some vegetables, though. I'll bet that.
Gordon has an affair with his wife, or on his wife, and then he's trying to deal with his wife and his new baby, and Batman winds up saving the baby, and Gordon has been tasked with taking down Batman, but he saved his baby, so they form a secret alliance.
Mm-hmm.
Miller says it was going to be very violent and R-rated.
And bold.
And yes, and bold, and that's not going to happen because he actually does. He tells a little story about how they turned it in and they actually shrieked in horror.
There's one executive, one somewhere that just throws the script back in his face and gives him the "won't someone think of the children" and runs screaming from the room and through an office window to a 20-foot plummet.
Right. Oh man. So about this time we're getting Boaz Yalkin's Batman Beyond, and now this
Great
is
name,
important.
by the way. Every time I see it, I
Yeah.
think, fucking great name,
Yeah.
dude.
Now this is Paul
You were
Dini.
made for something.
Paul Dini wanted to do a live-action Batman Beyond.
I don't know
can't
what
hate
he'd be
on him
like for
it.
live action.
I know,
I'm curious.
but he wanted to do one, and they've just spoken about it, and it looks like it didn't really get off the ground. They were basically writing the thing, and they couldn't. Apparently, the first draft failed to excite them. And if Paul Dini's not excited about writing a thing, I don't want him writing a thing.
Right. No, this man, when Dini's writing and when he's really enjoying what he's writing, he literally cries. Like he'll come out of his little office or whatever he works in at home. If he comes out
Right.
weeping, his wife apparently knows that he's been doing some good work that night.
Right.
He will. We're talking about trying to finish a line through tears. The man loves his material. I don't know. I agree. If he couldn't get it up, then it just wasn't happening.
Yeah, and even Yalkin said
it didn't
that
have quite the fantastic futuristic edge, which also would have been a mistake, because I
Yeah.
admit, one of the fun parts about Beyond was they committed completely to the premise that, things are new, which was really hard to do with that kind of slightly anomalous time period that BTAS started in.
And Yalkin said that he realized, he was excited at first, but he realized that it wasn't something he felt comfortable pursuing. Something wasn't really right with it. So, damn it, I have to have respect for people who are willing to just go, you know what, this just isn't working. Let's not do this.
Yeah.
Let's not subject people to this.
There are people we can trust somewhat implicitly on that, like Paul Dini, or, as a for instance, and to move on, Joss Whedon.
Indeed. Joss Whedon, the man with the golden touch recently. Avengers Age of Ultron. This is the man who did Buffy and Serenity.
Don't forget Firefly.
And Firefly, yeah.
Of course.
This is a man who got a crack at writing a Batman movie.
So he's already living the dream.
So he writes this thing, and he describes it as such. My heart was on the table. I was so into it. And I could tell the executive I was talking to was just completely thinking about their schedule and their window, and it was like I was talking to a wall. It was a different language, and I drove away from the meeting, and I actually said to myself, like, how much more indication do I need that the machine doesn't care? I got back to work, and they canceled Firefly. And I was like, it was rhetorical. I wasn't asking for more.
That is a truly bad day.
It is.
You go to talk to someone, you can't get them excited about a Batman script, which is there's so much money in it, and it's such a fun character. How can someone not pull themselves away from doing a little bit of mental logistics for just 10 damn minutes? And you get back and Firefly's canceled mid-season after they were already failing to get out the episodes they wanted anyway. Bad day. But he pointed out something on his version of the story that he wanted to do that I would love. And he says he's this tiny 12-year-old who's about to get this shit kicked out of him, and then it cuts to Wayne Manor, and Alfred is running like something terrible has happened. He finds Bruce, and he's back from the fight, and he's completely fine. And Bruce is like, I stopped them. I can stop them. Okay. I would have given anything for Whedon's take on that line. A 12-year-old who realizes he can actually do something about this. Yeah.
Now, as for Whedon's villain,
that's $10 that I wish I would have had the luxury of spending.
Oh yeah. Whedon has also said in his version there is actually a new villain. It wasn't one of the classics, which is probably why they didn't use his script. He says it was more of a Hannibal Lecter type. He was already somebody in Arkham Asylum that Bruce went and studied with. Yep. He says, it was a whole thing. I get very emotional about it. I still love the story. Maybe I'll get to do it as a comic one day.
Maybe.
I will be there to buy that comic, Mr. Whedon. I will be there to buy that comic, DC.
Whedon tends to kind of, it's almost like he gets a little bit fed up with the whole being on set thing for a minute and decides he just wants to chill at home for a few months. And it seems like that's when we tend to get, hey, I'm going to go take over Marvel Ultimate for a second, or hey, I'm going to do this.
Right.
And I think it's one of those universally accepted things that if he touches pen to paper for a comic book, it's going to sell and it's going to be good. If he releases ink, you're in good hands.
You're not wrong. Wolfgang Peterson. This was a movie that was going to be Batman versus Superman.
And to me, this is where, as far as the movies that are being produced, we've completely turned a corner, right? We started trying to not know if it was camp or not. It's almost people that had just watched Adam West, and now we're back to, or we went through the stage where we're just all trying to recover from Chris O'Donnell, and we get all the way back now. Now we're making real movies again. Now we're back to, hey, you remember how he's called The Dark Knight? What if we did some stuff with that?
Yeah. Chris O'Donnell. Let's mention the least egregious thing about either of those movies. Anyway,
it's the one thing that stands out. And least egregious is no.
Don't let me get you sucked in, man.
Least egregious could not possibly be applied to Chris O'Donnell appearing in those films. He's older than Clooney. He looks like he could buy Clooney beer, and no. All right.
Man.
I'm good.
Anyway, so Wolfgang Petersen's Batman vs. Superman. The villains, Lex Luthor and the Joker. The screenwriters, Andrew Kevin Walker and Akiva Goldsman.
Who appear to have done a really good job.
The movie begins with Bruce Wayne getting married. He's been retired for 5 years. His wife knows nothing about his past as Batman, but on their honeymoon his wife is killed, and all signs point to the Joker, who Batman thought was dead, apparently. Mm-hmm. So, of course, Batman comes back. Meanwhile, Lois has left Clark. Clark stops a big terrorist attack in the opening of the film, and then serves as Bruce's best man at the wedding before going back to Smallville and rekindling a relationship with Lana Lang. Batman's going crazy trying to find the Joker, and it's eventually revealed that Luthor and the Joker have teamed up. And Joker, it turns out, actually handpicked Bruce's wife and molded her into a woman Bruce would fall in love with and give up the cowl for.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow, in the course of the film, Luthor and Joker manage to get Batman and Superman to turn against each other. Batman has a kryptonite suit of armor, and the two fight for a while, and then, rekindle their bromance in time to stop Luthor and Joker. There's apparently a bit where Batman is about to kill the Joker, and Superman tells him he'll stand by Batman's decision as long as he takes off his mask. The dialogue from Superman to Batman reads, "Don't hide behind it. Don't pretend there's some other part of you doing this. This is your right as a human being, your retribution. So do this as a man, or as the man who's going to live with it for the rest of his life. Take off the mask." And Batman spares the Joker.
If that's the tone of the movie they wanted to write, this is a loss. This is a great loss.
Now, I'm not big on the Batman being retired for 5 years.
No,
everything else sounds pretty good.
Any version of something where Batman quits is immediately going to pull me out of it for a second.
That takes points off.
It does. It takes points off. There is no version, fuck Rachel dolls. We can sum up that argument as fuck Rachel dolls, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here we have a version of it, but the rest of it just looks like it gets onto such a good track so quickly. I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
It takes points off. It doesn't disqualify you.
Yeah. Apparently, Sam Dickerson, the head of the Peterson's production company, said, let's write this as if we want this to be a movie that gets considered for an Academy Award. It's not supposed to be some kind of disposable pop culture. We wanted to take the characters seriously. I can't disagree with that.
Nope.
That would have been really cool.
Nope.
I mean, the Bat retiring, that would have been weird for me, but
it looks like they were going to take care of that in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, if he hasn't done it in 5 years, that's going to be a rough ride trying to come back, and I would have probably had problems if they didn't kind of explain why Batman's not just really off his game.
It's easy enough. You can set him up with some sort of hobby that happens to keep him in extremely good shape. Like he's a mountain climber now or something in his spare time.
Right.
So he has to actually be in good shape. So when he gets back,
maybe
Batman
he still
mode,
trains
it's not too far.
Right.
We can get out of that one.
That brings us over to George Miller's Justice League Mortal. So this happened in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
They ordered a script for a Justice League movie. Kieran and Michelle Mulroney, who wrote Sherlock Holmes: A Game of Shadows, were writing.
Not
and
a
George,
good citation.
And I know. And George Miller of Mad Max, Babe and Happy Feet was going to direct.
Anyone that you can put that list together for.
Yeah, you know what? I give it to him. Mad Max, Babe, and Happy Feet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that means, but I'm
I don't know where to categorize
damn
that
intrigued.
Whore? Is that possible?
They were talking about
Money
doing this
grubber.
as they were talking about doing this as sort of like the what was that the Beowulf movie?
Yeah.
The motion capture stuff, which looked awful to me, and I was glad they didn't wind up doing this movie, if for no other reason that we don't have to see a motion capture Final Fantasy Justice League on the big screen.
Right.
But the cast was actually pretty inspired in places. Arnie Hammer as Bruce Wayne, Batman. DJ Catrona as Clark Kent, Superman. Adam Brody as the Flash. Megan Gale as Wonder Woman. But there were a bunch of script problems. Apparently, shooting location disagreements. There were lots of big problems. They kept kind of going back and forth on the script, and it kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back until it was shut down in 2010, which we all know what was happening. Green Lantern.
Right. Now,
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, and I'm still... one day I'll spend more time talking about how much I mourn the fact that didn't work. But this is where you hit a critical turning point for DC or WB, where they look at Marvel and kind of realize, oh, that's the ticket.
Right.
So we're not going to do the Justice League and then try to spin off 5 movies from it. No. Because if you don't like a character, you may not show up for Thor. But what you will do is if I show you all of these characters and promise you that the Avengers is coming, you will watch.
Now, what's
You're gonna
interesting
fill the dreams
is
my ass.
this has been a weird thing for DC in general, because this is 2007 that they ordered the script. They didn't shut it down until 2010. The Dark Knight trilogy wasn't even completed. They were willing to recast Bruce Wayne and just
Or at
have
least
a
include
separate
him.
little universe. Yeah, they just wanted to have a separate Justice League universe there for a minute outside of the Batman Begins universe. This is still a problem with these guys.
Well, they had to have somebody else in mind because Bale was going back and forth on whether he wanted to do them and how long he wanted to do them, and he flipped.
I mean, there was some waffling. Bale has always been against doing Justice League, Alien stuff, Robin.
Yeah.
Anything that wasn't just the absolute epitome of dour was the only. Like, everything outside of that was just off limits for Bale. Like, he was like, "No, we're not doing anything that's."
And I got to admit, for the Bale,
fantastic.
For the Batman he was doing, some of that would have been a bad call. Robin, for instance, I don't know a version of Robin that I thought would have fit in the Dark Knight trilogy anywhere, including the one we saw. We'll get into that at some point.
All right. So
Back to
once
Joss
again,
Whedon.
We're back to Joss Whedon. Joss Whedon was going to write and direct a Wonder Woman movie. He got between $2 and $3 million for the role of writer-director, and Whedon started writing the script. It was apparently going to be an origin story about Steve Trevor plane crashing onto Themyscira, and then it would eventually move over into Man's World. Whedon said that he was reluctant to cast from an unfinished script, but Warner Brothers kept wanting him to announce somebody.
So they could go ahead and start printing off toys.
Well, yeah.
They were trying to talk to the Barbie people about whether they could make a Wonder Woman Barbie.
And then eventually, according to Whedon, he turned in an outline in 2007, and they didn't care for it. He says, besides Wonder Woman's great origin story, there's nothing from the comics that felt right 100%. No iconic canon story that must be told. Batman has it made. He's got the greatest rogues gallery ever. He's got Gotham City. The Bat writes himself. With Wonder Woman, you're writing from whole cloth, but trying to make it feel like you didn't. To make it feel like it's existed for 60 years, even though you're making it up as you go along. But who she and what the movie is about thematically has never been a problem for me. But the steps along the way, it could be so easy for them to feel wrong. I won't settle. She wouldn't let me settle.
And so he settled on doing the Avengers.
They parted ways.
Yeah. And this is twice now that the WB has failed to get it up for Joss Whedon doing Batman and Wonder Woman.
I mean, how many ways can you screw a thing up?
I don't know. It's twice, man. This is twice. I
know.
And they didn't know. Maybe they didn't know. And you got to wonder if Whedon will ever consider going over and helping them out with these movies now, because they kind of shut. And he was having what looks like a particularly poor run of success there for a second. I'll grant him that, because Firefly dies. He's wrapping Serenity when he's about the time he starts to try to do Wonder Woman.
Right.
And Serenity did a lot better than people thought.
Serenity
it would do,
dies.
But yeah, he's trying to close the book on a property that was canceled way before its time, and trying to open up this new catalog of possibilities, and they just keep slamming the book on his hand. No.
Now, the day before Whedon departed from the property, Warner Brothers and Silver Pictures bought a spec script from a couple of cats named Matthew Jennison and Brent Strickland. Their version of it saw Wonder Woman in World War II. It was a period piece. Warner Brothers did not like a period piece. They wanted it in a modern setting. It turns out that Joel Silver, he admitted that he just bought the script to keep it off the market and to stop the rights from reverting to anybody else.
And for anyone who hasn't caught on to that's how this shit works, well, that's how this shit works.
Yeah.
You make terrible movies sometimes just to keep the property and to keep the rights, because otherwise they'll expire on you. And it's a use it or lose it kind of contract a lot of the time. The best example ever possibly ever and still going is that Fantastic Four film that came out.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the title of it. I think
I
someone dropped about $100,000 on a Fantastic Four movie. Guess what that gets you?
I don't remember the specifics of it, but Matt Carroll, from the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, was telling me he actually had a plan a couple of years ago. I think this was the plan. We sit down, we write really good spec scripts that no one will ever actually use.
Mm-hmm.
And just sell them to producers or to executives to keep, so that they'll buy them up, pay us handsomely.
Mm-hmm.
But
no,
it doesn't matter that we never.
You get about 120 grand for that script still.
Yeah,
for the final
do everything
version of that,
you want to do.
You can make 6 digits off that. That's a fine living.
Do
Once a
everything
year, you manage to get that done.
Make it amazing.
That'd
Because they'll never use it.
And these are the cats you can run into at an LA bar somewhere and go, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" "Oh, I'm a screenwriter. Man." And you're looking at his watch, going, "Dude, what have you been involved with?" "Oh, you've never seen anything I wrote."
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, clearly,
I've been involved in a lot of trash cans. That's what I've been involved with.
Some of the do you actually remember? There's a great bit from The Critic, the old John Lovitz cartoon, where he writes the script and turns it in, and the guy's telling him like, "Oh yeah, it was great. And he's like, "Oh cool, when's it going to go into production?" And they're like, "Oh no, sweetie, no. The good scripts don't go into production." And he like brings up this glass case from the floor, and he's like, "This is where I keep all of the scripts that are too good to be made into movies." And he's just picking up scripts and naming them off, and he's like, "Revenge of the Nerds 5. Oh, how did you get in there?" And he goes over to the phone. He's like, "Yeah, I've got a script. We need to put it into production immediately."
That sounds right.
Anyway, obviously, the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie was supposed to have sequels.
It was supposed to work.
In some cases,
Why
it did.
didn't it work?
Well, poor marketing and constant re-edits. That is exactly what happened.
Yeah, the constant re-edits will get you every time. Now, the marketing, I can spare them on, because they were like, "It's Green Lantern. We got Ryan Reynolds. We're done here, right? We're good? Okay, I'm going home."
Right.
They checked out on Wednesday afternoon to have a 5-day weekend.
There were sequences in that movie where I was looking at it and going, "Oh my God, this has been edited to hell and back." They didn't have the shot they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know what to do with it.
They ran out of money to go CGI it into a shot they wanted.
Anywho, there were apparently going to be at least 2 more sequels involving the yellow power ring that we saw teased at the end of that with Sinestro, which, by the way, most of that movie was done really well. So screw WB. I mean, screw them. I don't care they didn't make his money back.
Whoever didn't spend enough money, I don't know. I watched it in a theater. I spent my money. I did my part for King and Country.
We're going to
support you, Ryan.
We're going to, well, he will support you too in the upcoming Deadpool movie.
Bless his heart.
Which has nothing to do with DC.
And yet, come on, we're all going to go watch it, right?
Yeah.
You can have a favorite. Doesn't mean you don't like the other kid too.
Yeah. All right, on to Superman 5. Superman 5. Now, this is jumping back into like the early 90s. Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, had come out. Mm-hmm. It was awful. The Salkinds actually owned the property at that point, not Warner Brothers. Superman 5 was apparently going to star Christopher Reeve. They were going to do the death of Superman storyline, and Alexander Salkind says that the script was frankly the best one since Superman 2 or 3, which isn't saying a lot.
No, but it is at least acknowledging that it wasn't like 4.
Yeah, it was Brainiac and the city of Kandor encapsulated. It was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I could have dealt with a final Christopher Reeve movie if it was a notch more towards Superman 2, but obviously we didn't get that. Now it was probably this probably took place like maybe a year before Chris Reeve actually had his accident, so he would have had time to actually
destined for failure.
Yeah, what's interesting though is if they had thrown this into production, if they had actually done it, he probably would have been too busy filming Superman to actually get in the accident.
I don't know. It was a hobby. He might have found time anyway.
Maybe.
We'll never know.
And there were rumors for years after that they were going to find a way to digitally put his face on a Superman. But, I mean, we still don't even have really good technology with that. I mean, it's getting there, but...
No. Go find the clip of Terminator here recently.
Right.
We're not there yet.
Well, apparently we are, because they did 3D mapping in Hunger Games, and they're gonna a bunch of the Philip Seymour Hoffman scenes in the last movie are going to be done that way.
Oh, good.
Because he didn't get a lot of his stuff done, but
no, he didn't even get close. I was wondering.
Then we get to Superman Reborn. So
Which
after the death of Superman storyline, Warner Brothers bought back the rights from the Salkinds because, I mean, who needs that shit? Mm-hmm. And this was apparently a kid-friendly reboot with lots of toy-based possibilities. They wanted lots of toys. It was going to be Brainiac, Doomsday, Parasite, and Silver Banshee as the villains.
Because WB got this back and immediately forgot all of the lessons Schumacher had taught them.
Well, I mean, this was before the Schumacher debacle. They were actually looking to...
When was this?
This would be before. This would be probably 95? 94, 95?
I mean, Smith was brought in to rewrite. It's got to be late 90s at least.
Yeah, no, but it was like 97 around the Superman Lives time, because they were really wanting to do Superman as a companion piece to their Batman films. But when Batman and Robin flopped so magnificently at the box office, a lot of the Superman projects and a lot of the superhero projects died for a while.
Just got popped right in the middle of all that madness. Yeah. I mean, let's be completely clear here. Batman and Robin nearly killed this industry in its infancy.
Yeah.
It's amazing,
infancy. You say infancy. I say toddlerism.
Toddlerism might be more fair.
I just wanted to say toddlerism.
You just want to work that into the language somehow?
I did.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so this would have been about probably 95. We know that Kevin Smith had already released Clerks and Mallrats by this time. So it was probably about 95.
Well, he
96.
released Mallrats, and someone saw Mallrats because they were already an industry insider, and they knew about Clerks and knew about this new up and coming guy. And they saw him and knew and realized he had referenced the characters, so they just start throwing money at him.
Yeah.
And
you
Smith
understand
has said himself
this.
he clearly he didn't actually want to take a swing at anything. Like, they kept asking him to write these things, and Smith kept telling him, like, you realize these guys over here write this for a living, right? They're doing great stuff. Like, why don't you talk to? Have you talked to Frank Miller?
And they were like, those are the comic book guys,
right?
They don't deal with us.
Now we're in that same area, but it's different now. It's slightly because now WB's. They should be taking from some of the stuff on television that's working out well for them and making them money. But that's still their mentality is, those are the TV guys. They don't know how to do a feature film.
Well, the mainstream mentality is that, this has got to be better because this is real. That's how people think. This is real.
Right.
And I'm saying none of it is real. There are still actors playing the parts. Just because something is animated doesn't mean, having a actual human face to look at, does it change the story? Oh, okay, never mind. So Kevin Smith was brought in to rewrite, as Jason said, and he described the Superman Reborn script like the Batman TV show version of a Superman movie. Very campy.
Sounds
so, of course,
terrible.
That brings us to Kevin Smith's Superman Lives. He wrote the script. They offered him the job, and he wrote the hell out of the script. But with the
you're
caveat,
going to say yes eventually to that. You just are.
Yeah, sure. But there was a caveat that Warner's could make whatever changes they wanted. Those changes are well documented in An Evening with Kevin Smith. And this begins the Superman
Funnily
Lives.
documented as well.
This is essentially the beginning of the Superman Lives debacle. That can be. It has been discussed in a movie they just put out as a. Someone just put out a movie on this. It's called The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened. It has been released already. It was released on July 9th or July 8th. But it has been released. Yeah, it has been released. I plan to watch it. Apparently, we've been very wrong about a lot of the stuff that was in this movie over the course of many years, because so much stuff has not been released. And now with this documentary, a lot of people are saying this could have actually been a pretty badass Superman. I can't speak to that, but Kevin Smith has talked about how
I'm
John
willing
Peters
to listen to it as a possible idea, just on the basis that Kevin Smith does actually love this character, and he can write. It's not a matter of that, and he himself makes fun of how he writes action because he doesn't. But yeah, I don't know. I'm willing to listen, but man, you look at some of the stuff that's on this, some of the changes and how was the John Peters thing?
Yeah, John Peters. This well documented in an evening with Kevin Smith. You can find that clip on YouTube. But John Peters didn't want any flying. He didn't want a Superman to fly. He didn't want the red and blue costume, and he wanted a giant spider in the third act. So the script has no origin story.
Sort of compulsion that John Peters has as a human being. The giant spider in the third act. It's I don't know what it is. Maybe he's got a tiny little Marlon Wayans-esque demon.
Oh, they certainly do, because Warner Brothers wanted a sassy, gay R2-D2 like robot, an alien space
they
dog.
Pulled every word that was trending for that.
Yeah, an alien space dog to be marketed to children, and Superman or Brainiac, one or the other, fighting polar bears.
They really this is early days of the internet, so I don't know where you find a trending list, but they found it, and they used to pay glommed all the words together until they made what seemed like a reasonable topic, or at least a subject and verb. Finally, no, alien space dog, Superman fighting a polar bear. Although he has heat vision, so I guess he is technically fighting those polar bears the whole time.
No, there was no origin story. Superman and Clark Kent are
a known
part of the status quo. Yeah, and Superman and Lois are in a relationship, and apparently in Smith's script they actually play with that a little bit. There's actually a reveal that they are in a relationship. I believe they play upon the old dynamic of like, oh, Clark, I wish Superman was here. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, so
I'm
the
sure
script
has
has
a couple of decent jokes about that.
The script has been leaked online. It is so many places. You can have this script on. I'll put up a link, but you can find it. You can download it. You can read it. You can read what could have been Kevin Smith's take of Superman Lives. Which brings us.
I haven't tried the documentary. I intend to watch it, but I am going to go back and read that script front to back before I watch that movie or the documentary.
Yeah. Now, Tim Burton was brought in, which brings us to Tim Burton's Superman Lives. Burton came in, brought a couple of his own writers. It was rewritten a few times, from what I understand. They kept Kevin Smith's Thanagarian snare beast, which was the giant spider. They added a Plutonian claw beast as well.
Doubling down.
Yeah, but they changed. They stripped out all of Smith's dialogue, which is
probably the best part he had in there.
Yeah,
that's.
But Burton's take would have seen a 30-something semi-retired Superman played by Nicolas Cage, who, for some reason, knew nothing about his Kryptonian heritage. Brainiac, which apparently was going to be played by Christopher Walken. There's actual... apparently this movie unveils concept art for Christopher Walken as Brainiac, which I'm not against. That would have been cool.
No, that could work.
He shows up, teams up with Lex Luthor, rumored to be Jack Nicholson, to find a piece of technology Jor-El sent to Earth called K, which would protect Superman and bring him back to life if need be. Brainiac and Luthor block out the sun, unleash Doomsday on Superman, and they fight to the death. So the K, or the Eradicator, which is a suit here, brings Superman back, but Superman doesn't have his powers, so the suit acts as his powers until Superman regains them. Brainiac and Luthor merge into some kind of super evil creature, and the K suit is destroyed in the process, but they kind of play it like it's a sacrificial friendship thing. At the end, Superman returns and leaves Clark Kent behind. He abandons all of his humanity. But apparently is suddenly at the end of the movie mysteriously in a relationship with Lois Lane at the end, and he wasn't at the beginning, so that's weird.
Just
she was rumored
Sandra
to have
Bullock
been
there at the end when you need to sully something up.
She was rumored to have been played by Sandra Bullock, by the way. They got really far into pre-production on this one, but Batman and Robin tanked when Warner's started cutting funds, and Burton left. And Nick Cage whined about it for years and said he hoped he could find somebody who would do the movie and blah, blah, blah. That script is also floating about online.
By the time it was over.
Yeah. But what's weird is apparently they take the one thing that Kevin Smith didn't write in that script and they added it in. They took something from a different Kevin Smith movie. The Superman and Lois can't have children situation. The conversation, the whatever it was, the conversation about why Superman and Lois could never have children from Mallrats, and they stuck it in this movie. Kevin Smith had left that out of his take. He never even brought it up, apparently. But
right. And it really does sound like someone saw Mallrats, thought, well, that'd be an interesting take on Superman. Hired that guy. He comes in, that guy, comes in and writes an entire script that has nothing to do with the one thing he hired him for. And as soon as he pushes that guy out the door, he puts in the one damn thing he wanted.
Yeah. He's like, damn it, Smith, all we wanted was the Man of Steel coital debate. We wanted the Man of Steel coital debate. That's all we wanted.
Right. He just wanted to rewrite the Mallrats scene with less cussing and put it on.
Yeah. Now, okay. So we're in a situation here where we are about to prove to you that Superman Lives, either Kevin Smith or Tim Burton's version, was actually, for the most part, on the right track, because then we get J.J. Abrams' Superman Flyby.
Right. Which, when you look at some of the base ideas that were being tossed around, I don't know, it does feel a little Abrams. It's like a Superman-inspired acid trip.
Yeah. Now, this is a script I read. I actually read it years ago when it first leaked. Mm-hmm. I was there for the backlash. I was on Ain't It
By the way,
Cool
this
News watching that.
None other than Henry Cavill, right?
They probably not. He did screen test. Henry Cavill did screen test for Superman for this movie.
Because the man looks like Superman. What?
Brett Ratner was going to direct, and he wanted either Josh Hartnett or Jude Law to be Superman. But neither one of them wanted to commit to all the sequels, because this was the first of a trilogy. Matt Bomer
done that. Actually, both of them probably wish they'd done it.
But Matt Bomer was considered. Tom Welling from Smallville was considered. He was already on Smallville at the time. Mm-hmm. Paul Walker was considered. This thing went through a lot of different iterations. Brett Ratner had left the production at some point and was replaced with McGee, and then he left. It was written by J.J. Abrams. It was the first in a trilogy. They denied Abrams the right to direct the movie because he was untested at the time. Mm-hmm. This thing is crazy as hell. Mm-hmm. Krypton is not destroyed. Never destroyed. Is taken over. Like, in this version, Jor-El is like the king of Krypton.
Sure.
And like it's overtaken by like opposing forces, and I mean they've got like wars with cousins. Like there's like a civil war and shit. Like it's really weird. It's really weird. So like we have like a Moses situation where like Jor-El like sends Kal-El to Earth to get so he won't get killed basically, and Jor-El goes into hiding. Which of course a bunch of Kryptonians end up coming to Earth and unleashing Doomsday or whatever. Christopher Reeve. Not Christopher Reeve. God, what am I thinking?
I don't know. Of Better Times and Places?
Never mind that. Jimmy Olsen was apparently gay, and there were apparently a lot of like disparaging gay jokes in the script. Like, and I do remember it. I do remember reading those and going, okay, well, okay.
Why are we doing gay bashing in a Superman film?
Yeah, which it mostly made sense, but they had written Perry White as a really homophobic asshole. And he was the one doing all the gay bashing, and then you have Jimmy Olsen being like, he's an asshole. Okay.
Which is an actual response to being bashed.
Now, you know, right at the beginning, though, it describes all of these martial arts that the Kryptonians know, and they have, they're doing like, this is like Matrix shit while they're in the sky. And even Superman somehow knows martial arts. He's like a kung fu master or some shit. It's really weird.
Codex, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So Lex Luthor, Yeah, no. Yeah, Chris Reeve he was hired as a consultant. I forgot he didn't die.
That's where you got it.
I forgot he didn't die when he fell off the horse, you know? And I thought, I was like, no, wait, he was dead. And then I was like, wait, no, he was in a wheelchair for like 20 years. He was hired as a consultant. Like, I was like, how did I read that and put that down in my notes? But yeah,
I don't know.
Lex Luthor, here was the fun thing about Lex Luthor, and it was awful. He was a UFO nut, CIA agent.
Yeah.
And then at the end, it's revealed that he's like literally Superman's brother, and he's Kryptonian.
They made him Mulder.
They made him Mulder, who winds up being Kryptonian.
Right.
Now there were lots of weird things in this script. There's actually a rundown that I'll post. It was an it was a review from the supermanhomepage.com.
Mm-hmm.
I will post a link to that, and they pretty much hit the nail on the head for the most part. There's like a weird Ma Kent rape scene where like freaking Clark like almost kills the dude who was trying to rape her. It was like the landlord or something. Like, it was just real weird stuff. Like there's a super poop joke.
Mentioning the words Ma Kent rape scene, I may never get an erection again.
I know.
Those are not words that are supposed to go together. I feel dirty.
I know.
I feel dirty even having thought about it.
But they did a super poop. Apparently his poop smells worse because he's Superman. This is a thing that almost happened, people.
This actually showed up.
And if ever in your life you look at the later seasons of Fringe or you look at the later seasons of Lost and you think this could have been so much better if J.J. Abrams was involved, remember super poop and Ma Kent rape.
That's
what I want you to remember.
Bad robot.
Bad robot.
Right.
Terrible robot.
Terrible, ill-conceived robot. It actually probably would have been a lot better if he had let whatever that fucking robot is write that script. That may have been how this happened.
Yeah.
Again, where I get back to I think people just have algorithms they've devised and they throw in a bunch of kitsch words and see what comes out. And it came out super poop.
Right.
Because
Warner
apparently
Brothers
there really is no God.
Oh. So yeah, there are a lot of weird, egregious things in this script, and if you can't find a copy of the script, at least go read this rundown.
Or just spare yourself entirely
crazy.
And forget that you've ever heard anything about the words Superman flyby.
Yeah. Why would you call it that? That's such a dumb name. That's such a dumb name.
Because that's the amount of editorial revision that was done before someone admitted these ideas.
Right.
He
Abrams
did through it. Thumbed through it at lunch before a 1 o'clock meeting. That's what he did.
Abrams did. He came out and he defended himself. He was like, well, what was leaked was the first draft. And then like a separate draft later on, like a heavily revised draft was leaked. And apparently it was like all the bits that everyone hated were still in there.
He doubled down, I'm sure. No, sir. You do not come out and apologize for this. I want pure contrition. No.
Which people always ask me why I had a problem with J.J. Abrams rebooting Star Trek.
Because you remembered Ma Kent rape scene and thought, I don't want Scotty to get plunged.
I mean, I haven't had the best experience with Mr. Abrams. I watched Felicity, and yeah, it was an awful little teenage drama, but the last 5 episodes involve time travel suddenly and inexplicably and don't make any damn sense.
Mm-mm.
And J.J. Abrams was all over that.
What I understand about that is he got to the last few episodes and kind of realized no one can stop me now. Like it's what I imagine goes through a president's head in the last 2 months of his term. Is what are you gonna do? Impeach me? Takes longer than that to get that started. Fuck it, I'm doing whatever I want.
Yeah, well, I mean, they had already filmed on Felicity. They had already filmed all of their episode order, and they had filmed the final episode. Felicity graduates from college, and she and Ben wind up together, and they go off, and la 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 la. Mm-hmm. And then the network kind of went, "Oh man, we screwed up. I mean, you guys have been doing pretty good in the ratings this season, but we've got 5 weeks that we don't have anything on the schedule for. So could you go ahead and make 5 more episodes?"
Kind of pop out 5 more of those. No.
And so they kind of have to go back and rewrite that happy ending and be like, and then Ben cheats on her, so she takes a mystical drug that sends her back in time and relives the year in a different way. No part of it made sense. It was awful. But apparently, from what I understand, J.J. Abrams was really excited about that. Just like, time travel! Anyway.
He frightens me. He frightens me. And I did. I watched Fringe straight through.
Well, I mean, he only had something to do with, like, what, the pilot?
I think, I don't know, I forget the details on that, but...
Yeah, he was like, he wrote, like, the pilot, and then the EPs for the show were Bob Orci and Kurtzman and Orci, the guys who wrote the first 2 Star Trek movies of his. And then, like, of course, they got too busy writing, so they moved it on over to a couple other guys, and then they got busy, and they moved it on. The showrunners changed on Fringe, I think, every year. Yeah.
By the last season, the janitor was clearly writing.
So, of course, instead of Superman Flyby, we wound up getting Bryan Singer's Superman Returns, and even though there was a disappointing box office, they were going to do a sequel. It was going to be called Man of Steel, and it would have had Darkseid as the villain, which was kind of confusing because I thought it would for sure have something to do with that super kid that he sired, but whatever.
Probably that, but at least if it's Darkseid, he's probably going to have to punch something at some point.
Yeah, but hey, thankfully there was a writer's strike.
Oh.
Thankfully there was a writer's strike, and the Brandon Routh contract
destroyed so many shows that I love.
Yeah, but hey, it spared us Bryan Singer's Man of Steel.
I know.
By the time they got back around to that.
Anyway.
Yeah. I miss heroes being good. What the hell do you want, man?
Right.
All right. So apparently, and I remember this. I remember this coming out. This news leaking, and thankfully it went nowhere. There was apparently going to be a Jack Black Green Lantern movie. The idea was to take Green Lantern, turn him into a comedy adventure vehicle. Jack Black would have been producing Looney Tunes type projections from his power ring. Thankfully, that's all the news we have on that, because nothing ever happened with that. Which is my proof that there is a God.
Right. On the whole, WB, I feel like if we were keeping points and they started at 100 at the beginning of this conversation, they're somewhere in the 40s maybe by now. If we're just taking off points for every bad decision. This gets them into the 60s. This gets them back into the 60s not doing that movie.
Man, I mean, what's weird is, like, right before that, I don't know if you're aware of this, but they had a cartoon. It was a Looney Tunes cartoon, and it was a takeoff. It was a weekly show. It was a takeoff on some of the old cartoons, the old Daffy Duck cartoons, the Duck Dodgers of the 21st and a half century, or whatever it was, 24th and a half century.
Gotcha.
And they had it was like Daffy Duck as a superhero running around in space. And in one of the episodes, they did a mock crossover with Justice League, and Daffy Duck joins the Green Lantern Corps. And I feel like an executive was watching TV with his kid one night and saw that and went, "Oh, that's what we can do with Green Lantern."
And then turns to someone or gets on the phone with someone and asks them, Has Jack Black signed on for Nacho Libre yet? Okay, good. We can still use him.
This was not that long ago.
Was it not?
Either. It was really not that long ago.
I remember. I don't know. I just assumed it would have been before that period, like when Jack Black was kind of peaking a little bit. Shallow Hal area.
No, this was definitely after that. Jack Black had, come and gone as far as I'm concerned.
He's come and gone a few times.
Yeah.
He's a resilient bastard, that one.
He is.
Hell of a singer.
Yeah, did you see him on Jimmy Fallon the other night? They were doing a cover of More Than Words by Extreme. Like Fallon and Jack Black were doing it. They actually kind of knocked it out of the park.
I believe it. No, I didn't watch it because I saw that title somewhere, got the song stuck in my head, and hated Jimmy Fallon for the rest of the day.
That's fair.
That's how that went.
Oddly enough, I wound up watching that video, and I was in real danger of having More Than Words stuck in my head. And then I saw Sugar by System of a Down and the related notes, and wound up watching that. So I got Sugar stuck in my head for the next day.
You poor thing.
I know.
Anyway.
So, on to Green Arrow, Escape from Supermax. This was This was going to involve Green Arrow being thrown into a Supermax prison facility where he'd have to fight his way out. As like the beginning of the movie, he's thrown into this prison. He has to fight his way out. It's like Arkham Asylum. And
well, that's how I heard it described. It was like the Arkham Asylum game, but with Arrow and on film.
right.
Yeah, man. Let's do that.
Yeah.
In fact, if this isn't on the table still, wherever Jeff Johns is, hopefully he remembers the idea and has mentioned it to Berlanti.
Well, yeah. Well, let's
three-part episode.
Pull back because this was a David Goyer script.
A David Goyer joint.
Yeah. And he claimed that he had the Riddler, Lex Luthor, and Joker cameos lined up. There was going to be there were going to be A, B, and C list villains there.
He's going to run into the five-eyed man or something, or the five-fingered man, whatever his name was.
And then just nobody gave a damn, so they just stopped talking about it.
Because you take out the Goyeriness, and I can imagine Stephen Amell running around a prison trying to get out.
Yeah.
And I imagine I would watch it. I can also imagine, say, for instance, Diggle secretly getting a security guard job so he could help.
Right.
Felicity hacking most of the systems over there at a certain time. Let's say Flash undoing a couple of locks at an opportune moment.
I hate to say it, but I think you've killed this project for me.
Pretty much destroying an entire wing to create a distraction.
I really hate to say it, but I think you've killed this movie for me.
Why?
I don't know, but there's just so much about it that just... Maybe it's just all the Arrow elements.
I don't know. I'd love to see it in the area. No, I know what it is. I know what it is, and it's your scarring. This is your emotional abuse showing because you've seen the word Goyer, and you're not crossing this bridge no matter what.
I mean,
I'm not saying I blame you.
Some wounds can't be healed.
I get it. I watched The Dark Knight Rises too.
Oh man. Well, I mean I think that does it for us on all of these movies. What do you think would be? What are your top 5? What would you like to see if you could choose 5 of these?
If I could just grab 5 that I think should have happened, or even that I wish had just been produced. Period. Because I'll take Bill Murray Batman. I'll take my chances that that's the worst piece of shit I've ever seen. Because there's a chance that it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I'm pulling that one out. I'm pulling out Batman Triumphant, or Batman, what did he actually name it? Unchained.
Oh, Unchained, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to pull that one out of the hat and let it go ahead and...
Should have been called Batman Unnipped.
Right. I'm going to let that one go romp around. Probably Whedon's Batman, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
I got to say, I'm going to concur with you, though, that if Goyer was in charge of Green Arrow Escape from Supermax, I'll pass.
Well, it's the least interesting one on the entire list, I think.
I think it'd make a fine movie, but more importantly, I think it'd make a fine 2-part episode of make that the crossover episode in season 4 of Arrow.
Yeah, I mean they could.
Give me a 2-parter, I'll be fine.
They could.
Somehow he gets thrown into jail. He's helping Flash on Tuesday night. Somehow that gets him in jail, and Wednesday night they all have to go help him out. Okay.
Yeah.
What else would we have here? We're done with the Schumacher stuff because he gets Unchained, and then that's it. He's only earned that. I might have wanted to see that poorly named Dark Knight, I suppose. Just because that would be a fun version of the Scarecrow, and I still want to see what they mean by his sense of touch is off, so it heightened his other senses, and it made him a living.
I don't get a feeling it gets any deeper than that, man.
Part of me just wants to know what the fuck they're talking about, and I want to see an analgesic Scarecrow. Anyway,
yeah.
Then number 5 gets kind of hard to do. I might just have to pitch in wildly that I would like to see one of the Green Lantern sequels.
Yeah, for me, I wouldn't want to see the Green Lantern sequels unless they were actually going to go along with that line and do Justice League and all of that with Ryan Reynolds in the role.
Understood. He could still come back and it made me happy.
If I had to pick any of 5 out of this list, I'm going with Kevin Smith's Superman Lives, which I'll take as Tim Burton's Superman Lives as well. I would love to see what Kevin Smith would have done with it, and Tim Burton's Superman Lives. I've always kind of wanted to see a Tim Burton
without studio edits, or do you want to actually see the what is it now? I can't even remember how those words go together.
Well, I can read
Alien
the script.
Space Dog.
Yeah, I can read Kevin Smith's script, but I actually want to see, like, that was kind of part of what became Tim Burton's Superman Lives. They copied a lot of the story over. So I guess I'll choose that as one. Superman Lives, just in general.
That
Like,
giant
what that would have
spider ended up in Wild Wild West, did he not?
Yeah. And if you listen to Kevin Smith, Kevin would say that, I mean, he did say, and in their Man of Steel review, that the polar bears made it in. Like, the world engine looked a whole hell of a lot like a giant spider.
I don't know. That looks spiderish.
But yeah, I want to see Superman Lives as would have been directed by Tim Burton. I want to see Christopher Walken as Brainiac. Well, I mean, it barely Smith's script at that point.
Yeah.
I actually would. I would love to see the Bill Murray Batman. I want to see the Joss Whedon Batman.
Of course. I want to see that little kid say, it's okay, I can stop them, and realize it. That's again, that's $10 I wish I didn't have.
Yeah. I would have loved to have seen Wolfgang Petersen's Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I might give up my Green Lantern sequel for that.
Which definitely
Green Lantern sequel you're doing.
Like, screw Green Lantern sequel, man. if that's the choice I've got to make, that's it.
No, give me the Coast City story and everything, and I'll consider it.
No, I'm tempted. Like, I'm torn, and because I kind of want to. I really do. I want to see Batman Unchained. I would want to see all those villains show up again.
Yeah, I'd like to see those stories combined. It pissed me off to the end of time that they had recast Batman in the middle of it, but there's only so much we can do about that.
But at the same time, I really would have loved to see Schumacher's Dark Knight, because if you look at the Dark Knight, like, there are certain. I mean,
his Dark Knight Returns.
Shit, yeah, Dark Knight Returns. I mean, if you look at certain scenes in Dark Knight Returns, like, that shit ain't nothing but neon. You could have made a case that that's where he was heading the entire time. Like, slowly we're getting more 80s and like bad, bad 80s.
It's a redundant term.
Design. No, I don't think so.
Very little of the aesthetic that was established in the 80s is worth remembering.
Well, at this point, it's fun, but
everyone looked very tacky for those years.
Yeah, what's weird though is you look back, like, you say that in the 90s and you're like, oh god, everybody's so tacky, and then now, like, people are looking back on the 90s going like, oh, what were we doing? Why were we wearing all that flannel?
We were recovering from the 80s.
I never got past the flannel. I'm perpetually stuck in the grunge look.
Sorry, the flannel's comfortable. What do you want me to tell you?
The flannel is comfortable, and that's about the beginning and end of that argument. Like, the flannel is comfortable.
Period. Move on. Would you like a blue or red one? Cool.
I have no place in my life for high-rise jeans. Anyway.
Get you some double-barrel JUCOs, baby.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to pick, like, I really want to see that fifth Batman movie, but I also want to see that Dark Knight Returns. I want to see Clint Eastwood as the Bat. God, I really do.
Yeah. Now, all right. Now, which one of these are you most thankful you'll never get to see?
Oh, well, I mean, if I'm answering that question, you are. Okay.
Let's take Jack Black off the table.
Well, I'm going to take it off the table because I would have never seen that. I don't care. I'm doing the podcast same as I would have, and we would be bringing that up at some point, and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I forgot that was a thing."
Never seen it.
And then moving on, I'd never see it.
That really
Due diligence
it's that dark
aside.
spot that all the time we're talking about the animated stuff. It's always, oh yeah, and Mystery of a Batwoman. Just don't ignore that one. Ignore that one.
Yeah. You want to do the 5 we're most happy we didn't have to see?
I could stick with just one because a lot of these are that was the point of this is the WB failed us.
Yeah.
But which one did they save us from? I gotta say Flyby.
Flyby, really?
I gotta say Flyby. If you told me every one of these movies was available, and I'm going to have to sit down and Clockwork Orange style watch them, and I was allowed to be reprieved of one of them, I'd pick Flyby.
It's going to be a tough call for me, man. I mean, even though it's on my other list, I'm going to have to probably say Superman Lives. Or Superman Flyby.
Bill Murray, though, because there's at least the chance that would have ruined both Batman and Bill Murray for you.
That is impossible.
I think it's impossible, but we'll never know.
No. I don't care how bad that movie is. Look, Batman and Robin didn't ruin George Clooney for me. Like, I look at...
George Clooney for me didn't require ruining. I was already pretty much off that train.
Why?
I
George
don't
Clooney's
know.
a really good actor. He had
Sure,
when they announced George Clooney as Batman, I was over the moon. I watched ER.
You had seen ER. You had seen.
He had I was looking like, you know what? Doug he's a smooth talker. He is. I could easily see him being Bruce Wayne, but at the same time, that character had like a darkness to him. Like there's a shot where Juliana Margulies goes up to the roof and Doug is on the roof and it's like snowing and it's night, and he just turns around and he glares at her, and I was like, "That's the Bat. That's the Bat."
Oh,
I've seen George Clooney do some very dark stuff, and then Batman and Robin came out,
on him.
and they put nipples on him and had him go, "Hi, Freeze, I'm Batman." And I was like, "Oh man!"
They even gave him that damnable credit card.
Yeah.
How do you not walk off the set when someone hands you that prop?
Unless you're Adam West, I don't see how you don't.
And Adam West he's a superlative being, is what he is. He can pull that off, and I'm fine. But no.
Superman Flyby. That was, I think, I'm gonna have to go with that one too, because I am more interested, because I was an old school Tim Burton fan. Like, I liked Tim Burton up until about the point he did Planet of the Apes, and then now I've just fallen off. Everything I've seen him do, almost everything I've seen him do since then, has been utter shit.
I haven't watched him in years. I can't watch him put Johnny Depp in any more makeup in my lifetime. I've hit that quota.
I did kind of like...
I didn't know I had that quota, and then it was suddenly there, and I realized, oh, no, I've seen this before.
I did kind of like Sweeney Todd, but, man...
Only because it was a musical, and it was different
but
then.
He
does a pretty good job with musicals.
But I just haven't really cared for Tim Burton since Planet of the Apes, and but back in the day, I was all about Tim Burton, and what brought me to that was, one, Batman, and two, the Beetlejuice cartoon. Because about the time I was into the Beetlejuice cartoon, I kind of turned around and there was Batman, and I'm getting like the trading cards and stuff as a kid, and I'm looking at it like, here's director Tim Burton, and then it like has little parentheses, and it says Edward Scissorhands / Beetlejuice, and I was like, what? I don't think it said Edward Scissorhands. That came later, but it was like Beetlejuice, and I was like, what? And then it had Michael Keaton listed there with Batman, and Michael Keaton, Beetlejuice. I was like, what?
And your tiny little heart was inspired.
So, I loved Edward Scissorhands. I loved, Beetlejuice, and The Nightmare Before Christmas is still one of my favorite movies. So, of course, I kind of really want to see a Superman Lives. Even if he did, the bastard, give me Batman Returns. Oh, man. What a terrible jaunt that was.
Well, as we've discovered several times during this conversation, the studios, you start losing control of that franchise. That's pretty early on in the process.
No. That's why they started doing that. Like, they had tight reins on him during Batman, but pretty much gave him what he wanted. Then Batman was such a success, they let him do whatever the hell he wanted for Batman Returns. And
so it was after that one where he started to really lose his reins a little bit. So then we're back to my fuck McDonald's argument.
Warner Brothers.
This is my standing theory: is that McDonald's was one of the first dominoes that fell, like those damnable Happy Meals. That's where the dominoes started falling, and we get to the Batman and Robin era, and we almost didn't make it, man. We're in a world where I'm about to go watch Ant-Man in a couple of weeks. Fucking man.
That way, I think that's a different movie you just said.
No, that is an entirely different movie, probably.
I don't think that movie is being released.
No.
If it is...
It is straight to DVD, probably.
There are definitely going to be some parents complaining about that.
If there's a mix-up at the projector booth, there's going to be a real problem. Or, well, I say projector booth. What I mean now is apparently copy of Windows XP. You hang out
that's
long
a weird
enough in the
thing
theater,
for me.
and that's what you see.
That's a weird thing for me.
Yeah, and they never update their ActiveX. They never update it.
They never act.
Every theater I've been in,
I've seen that too. I've seen that too.
Is way out of date.
As is Active X.
Right.
It's just what? It's really still okay.
Hey, Dave from 2021 here. I hope you're enjoying the show. When we come back from break, the third part of DC movies that never happened, my favorite part, where we get into some of the absolutely batshit pitches that Adam West had for Batman movies and some TV projects that never got off the ground. The best part, Jason had no idea about any of this stuff. It's my absolute favorite. Stay tuned.
All right, guys. Now, we have released 2 episodes called DC Movies That Never Happened, parts 1 and 2.
Strangely, last time I checked, part
I know.
2 had more downloads than part 1. I didn't completely understand how that happened.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I don't really... Okay. Whatever.
So this is just we got done with those. Like, I had scoured the internet and found a whole bunch of stuff, and we did 2 parts, and we cut them up into 2 episodes. And then shortly after that, I went and found others. Like, I was just looking around, wondering if I'd missed any, and sure enough, there were some that I had missed. And good Lord, like it's been months since we did those episodes at this point.
Really?
I have not spoken with Jason about these, and it's been killing me. It has been killing me. I refused to send him a copy of the rundown for this episode because I wanted his genuine reaction here, which I usually get a really genuine reaction anyway. Like, cause he doesn't look into this stuff.
No,
but
I don't internet good enough.
He doesn't internet good enough. He's a very busy man.
Yeah. And, I go between busy and intolerably lazy.
Plus, I think it's important that we have an audience proxy on the show anyway.
Sure.
Audience proxy is good.
Sure.
Just giving you a peek behind the curtain, y'all.
No one needed that curtain pulled back.
So yeah, we're going to talk about DC Movies That Never Happened, part 3. And
I gather this is where it gets really off the rails somehow.
Oh, you're not wrong, sir. You're not wrong.
All right, I've waited long enough. Bring it.
All right, we're going to jump in here. This doesn't have a title, but in apparently June of 1989, Rolling Stone magazine did an interview with Adam West. Adam West was very mad. He was very upset. He dismissed the Tim Burton Batman movie as RoboCop in Gotham City.
Adam, you beautiful man. Oh, that's great.
And was angry because apparently he suggested that he should play Thomas Wayne. Well, actually, he suggested that he could still play Batman, and they ignored him, roundly ignored him.
Summarily dismissed.
And then he suggested that he could play Thomas Wayne. And as he puts it, they totally ignored me. Now, apparently he tried to pitch, or he tried to get them to make a Batman movie some years earlier. Here is his rundown. Bruce Wayne had basically retired to his ranch in New Mexico. After having...
We all know about Batman's hobby of agriculture and farming. We all every time I've looked at Batman, I've thought, you know what? That's a man that's a rancher at heart.
Bruce Wayne retires to his ranch in New Mexico after having cleaned up Gotham City. Most of the main villains were in madhouses or penitentiaries. So I invented a new supervillain called Sun Yat Mars, who was so heinous.
No, say that name again. Spell that name, for God's sake.
Sun, as in the sun, S-U-N. Yat, or Yat, Y-A-T. And then Mars, as in planet Mars.
Okay.
Sun Yat Mars, who was so heinous, he inspired to spring them on one horrible, stormy night, making them his minions, Marsies.
Oh, no. No.
Moreover, he was kidnapping college kids from all around the world, taking them to his zombie satellite, which was very alien looking.
You said the word zombie satellite.
Yes.
Oh my God. I want,
now
I want like an Adult Swim show called Zombie Satellite.
That could work.
It'd be perfect. It's a space station where a zombie outbreak happened, and now no one will come for him. So it's like 4 somewhat sentient zombies hanging around in a space station.
Yeah.
If anyone can make that work, it's Adult Swim. I'm looking at you, Brendan Small.
Right,
knock it out.
So there they marched about and would file in long lines into these terrible machines that sucked their brains out.
Of course.
So Adam West went on to describe that
he actually precursored convergence to some things, I suppose.
He went on to say, though, that there would be signs of alien invasion on Earth, and the film would also include moonlit romantic horse riding. And
that's so bad.
And here's my favorite part. Robin had retired as the Boy Wonder and was now, quote, a singing medical intern. He's chasing.
This is the worst thing I've ever heard. Oh my God.
He says he's a singing medical intern. He's chasing nurses around with his guitar.
Okay.
The Bruce Springsteen of Mercy Hospital, he says.
Oh God. I'm just imagining Burt Ward chasing people around with his apparently legendarily sized dick hanging out.
What?
I'm imagining Burt Ward, obviously.
Well, okay.
There's rumor that he has a hefty endowment.
When did this come about?
Oh, this has been hanging around for since, since his Boy Blunder days. Yeah, man.
I don't remember seeing anything.
Oh, he tells whole stories.
Well, yeah, he tells whole stories.
Exactly. That's the thing. It's supposedly, allegedly endowed. He also claimed I don't know. He might have actually gotten laid as much as he says at the time because he was on every one of those little teeny bop magazines.
Sure. Oh yeah, definitely did. But
oh my God, I'm just imagining Burt Ward though with like his comically sized crotch piece and a guitar chasing young interns down through hallways.
So okay. Apparently, when that was clearly not going to happen.
God, why?
There was a thing that we'll refer to as Adam West's Super Bat.
Of course. I don't know that I've ever wanted anything in my life more than to see the movie he just described.
I know. I would pay good money for that.
I'd probably have to come home and burn every comic I've ever had after it. But I think I'd still do it.
So
just set my guitar garage.
Adam West apparently tried to get he tried to buy the rights to Batman.
God, that would have been fun.
He couldn't.
Just plain couldn't afford it.
I don't know what exactly that. He tried to get the film rights to Batman. And, so when that didn't happen, well, here's what he said. I also wrote a thing called Super Bat when it was clear I'd never get film rights to the Batman character. It was a hybrid of Batman and Superman, who came from another galaxy, but he now lives in this vast cave.
Oh God.
Now, from everything,
I don't think I needed I don't think I needed him to tell me it was a hybrid.
Yeah.
What did he want to do with this abomination?
He actually didn't say a whole lot about it. The only thing, so far as we can tell, the only powers he has are living in that vast cave.
And being otherworldly.
And Adam West actually specifically mentions that that this Super Bat is so rich he can do anything. God. That's his powers. Being rich and living in a big cave.
And having an immigration status.
No, he also mentioned though, that he hated working the convention circuit. And he says at personal appearances, I'll only stay in costume for about 15 minutes, then get out and mingle. It's no fun to do it, really. I mean, I make it fun, but it's work. It takes a great deal of energy to play Batman, but then, of course, I have my secret life that I tell no one about. You know, when I wear the costume to orgies.
You know the one. Oh, God. Somewhere Board is probably doing the same thing.
Yeah. No,
trying to sell all the people at the orgy dog food.
That wasn't Adam West's last pitch for Batman.
Of course not. I'm sad that he didn't return with the zombie satellites today. He's already talked about space.
Right.
Make it a combo. Like while his ship's coming in from another galaxy, he destroys the zombie satellite. One zombie falls to the earth. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. No, there's a
zombies on Mars. It's great.
This is direct quote. This is all we have on this. This is direct quote from Adam West.
Wait, that's how it happens. He hits the zombie satellite. One zombie ends up on Mars, and that's how we get this Mars character, the Sun-Tak Mars guy.
Sun Yet Mars.
Right. He gets pissed off because we littered his planet with zombies, so he comes back to let everyone out and get Batman off the goddamn ranch.
Why is he? Oh, okay. In Mexico. I just don't understand.
Ratchet.
So he pitched a musical.
Oh, of course he did.
It was called A Night in Wayne Manor, and
I'm hearing.
So he said, "This is
get it home."
Yeah,
already.
This is his what he said about it. At another point, I went to DC Comics and tried to sell them on the idea of a big Broadway play called A Night in Wayne Manor, which could have been a musical, but by then no one would touch Batman. The movie was in the works.
I'm not sure that's the reason that failed, Adam.
Right?
I'm not sure that's what happened. Did they let Adam West into the DC Comics offices anymore at this point? Because I would have had his picture at the photo desk of the security guard. If you see this man, distract him. Throw something very shiny in the other direction. Direct him to a nearby orgy.
Right. Like, throw some stale bread over the counter, he'll get distracted.
Right.
Food I haven't eaten in 25 years.
Take it. Just get a big giant bag of M&Ms, lay them down about 3 feet from each other, and guide him to some other lot.
Now, Michael Uslan for years was trying to get a Batman film made in the 70s, and no one wanted to do it because, well, we'll get into that. But he was trying to get a Batman movie made, and he was trying to pitch the character as much as he could. The only people interested were CBS.
Really?
CBS wanted to do a Batman movie, but it had to be Batman in outer space.
Why? Why?
I don't know. But there's no more information on it because DC roundly rejected the concept.
Good for you, DC.
Right?
Oh, man.
Now, speaking of Michael Uslan.
Like, it had to be in outer space. This is Batman's version of that giant fucking spider.
So Michael Uslan, he was, you gotta give it to the guy. He loves Batman a whole lot. I've listened to interviews with this guy. He's also really weirdly conservative. Like, really weird. Like, I happened to hear him, like, on the radio one night. I was flipping through the radio, and this dude was talking, and he's like, "Oh, we've got Michael Uslan," and I'm like, "Bing! I know that name." And he's like, "Oh, this Dark Knight Rises is coming out," and Dark Knight Rises was thought to have been pretty political before it came out, and we all realized it was just horseshit.
You're right,
but
there's going to be a statement there for a second, and we'll go back and listen to our thoughts on that.
It wound up being like the Rusty Humphrey show, which is a very conservative talk show. And he's talking, I get the feeling that he didn't exactly tell Michael Uslan that he was a conservative talk show. And they're just talking about Batman. And then, like, he's getting Michael Uslan to agree to all this, like, really conservative sentiment. Like,
oh, God.
Like, anti-welfare, like, and like, at the time it was like, what was it? Occupy Wall Street or whatever it was. Yeah. And like Uslan was really against it and just talking about how stupid it was. And I was just like, he's okay.
He's probably not more than he can chew. That's not going to end well.
He shouldn't be making these comments.
Uslan, hang up the phone. Hang up the phone now.
But anyway, so Uslan was trying to get this or something off the ground for Batman, and no one believed in it. Like, they would, well, as he put it, they would tell him Batman is a pot-bellied funny guy with pals, zaps, and whams. It's silliness. And I would tell them, no, it's not. And they wouldn't get it. Even when I showed them the dark Batman comic books and the old stuff and the new stuff. And they and those were the only ones I showed to Tim Burton. My biggest fear was that somehow Tim would get a hold of the campiest Batman comics, and where would we be?
Right.
But to try to get interest, Uslan sat down and worked on a script called Return of the Batman. This predates Dark Knight Returns.
Really?
And it was really dark and really gritty. And I don't know where you can find it though. But it was never, he never wrote it for it to be produced, but just to kind of prove a point.
All
He
right.
said it helped him convince a few people in Hollywood of what he was trying to accomplish though.
I mean, he had a silly dream at the time.
It was a silly dream, but look where we are now though.
It was a noble dream.
Now some of this I may have spoken about and I can't remember, but I thought, did we talk about the Nightwing movie?
Not to my recollection.
Yeah, they were going to do a Nightwing movie.
Okay.
That was going to be basically the next step in the Schumacher franchise before Batman and Robin flopped. They were going to do like a spinoff where Robin goes off to become Nightwing. He was still going to be around in the eventual. He was going to be Robin, and then they were going to trail him off into a Nightwing movie. And Chris O'Donnell actually said they were totally going to do one. I was going to be Nightwing. I mean, his suit looked like Nightwing in Batman and Robin. And then he said it was such a bomb, Batman and Robin, that they were scrap that. And that was the end of that.
That sounds exactly right. He would have looked a lot better in a Nightwing outfit than he did Robin's.
Yeah. I mean, look
think
at the
black and blue would have fit him a lot better.
Well, the red and blue or the red and dark blue or whatever it was in Batman and Robin with the Nightwing symbol on it, actually looked really good. I liked his costume a lot in Batman and Robin, except for the nipples.
Would you, okay, in a Sophie's Choice kind of way, if I told you I could get rid of the nipples, but you'd have to have a mullet on Nightwing. And you can't just say I'm not watching it either way, or that you're going to kill yourself.
Oh, I'd watch it. It's a Batman thing. I'd watch it. It's just
mullet or nipples.
I'd take the nipples over the mullet.
That bad? Yeah, I don't blame you. It's one of the aberrations of the entire DC canon for me. That freaking hairstyle for a while there, man. And then when it wasn't a mullet, it was a rat tail. What the hell were you doing to this guy? Why? What
was funny is in the 90s, for some reason, they had, it was real weird to me. He didn't have the mullet. He just had really long hair, and he would always just pull it back tight and he had a really long ponytail. But for whatever reason, they would color him about 3 shades darker than Bruce. His skin. And when I was a kid, I didn't know that was Robin. I would just kind of went to the comics and I'm like, who's this cool Indian dude who's hanging out with with Batman all the time? He's Native American man. And he's called Nightwing. That sounds like a Native American Indian name.
Right.
Little Bigfoot, Nightwing.
Right.
I don't know. And forever I didn't know that was Robin. I was just I like this guy.
He's a cool cat. Maybe he should stay around for a while. And then he goes back into Dick Grayson's outfit, and you're like, oh my God, how did you turn into a white guy?
Yeah.
What have you done with my Indian friend?
My dad has full-blooded Native American in his family. And, he's always been really into that stuff. And I remember actually going and showing him the comic. Look, they have an Indian dude in the comics and he doesn't have feathers or a dream catcher or.
Right. It's really pretty progressive. Oh wait, it's a white dude.
I was proud of him.
Right.
Yeah. And then I realized he was,
it's a colorist.
some gypsy lad.
Right.
He was some gypsy lad as they've described him in the comics. Oh, okay. So, okay. That's weird. It's Dick Grayson. So did we talk about Tim Burton's Catwoman?
Yes, actually.
Okay. I know I didn't talk about this. I found more information on Tim Burton's Catwoman.
Hit me up.
All right. So we know that it was Batman Forever came out, and the day it hit cinemas was the day that Daniel Waters handed in the script for Catwoman, and that was pretty much the end of that.
Right.
However, I found some bits. This is what it involved. This was what the script involved. It would have had Catwoman suffering amnesia. And she winds up in a place called Oasisville, which is apparently the Bat Universe's answer to Las Vegas, and it's run by superheroes, where she encounters terrible, flawed male superhero types that push her back into the Catwoman identity.
I am already at a what the fuck is happening here point.
It sounds like an episode of The Tick.
Like
It sounds like it sounds like an episode of The Tick.
It does actually. Now, what did the mean boys do to her though? Are they superheroes or super villains that are running them? What?
It says superhero types.
Superhero types. What the hell is a superhero type?
I don't know. I really don't know what that is.
I have no idea.
I just imagine like a bunch of like Superman parodies walking around. I don't know.
Is it just like a city full of Nathan Fillions? All with sleazy gold chains?
I would move to that city.
In a heartbeat, man.
If it was a city full of Nathan Fillions.
Yeah. I'd assume every now and then they would break out into song and they would all sing together. It'd be great.
Man's gotta do.
Ooh, my.
Man's gotta do. All right.
I have some lightning happening on my side of town.
Ooh. So there's a thing we missed out on, man.
Mm-hmm.
This was an animated movie called Justice League Worlds Collide.
Mm-hmm.
It was supposed to bridge the gap between Justice League Season 2 and Justice League Unlimited Season 1.
Really?
Yeah, man.
That would have been great.
We were going to find out how Wonder Woman got her invisible jet.
Yeah.
It was going to talk about the expansion of the Justice League membership.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, it was going to have the crime syndicate involved.
Wow.
Yeah, it was going to be a big thing, and it was canceled. They put it on hiatus, and then they changed it over to Justice League Crisis on Two Earths or whatever.
Oh, okay. That's a damn shame, though. I wouldn't have minded. It's something that actually bothered me about going between them was, you had Justice League and then it was Unlimited, and it was a slightly different show.
Mm-hmm.
All the same, it was all the same continuity and everything, and nothing too distracting here. I wouldn't have minded a transition stage at all.
And here's another big shame. Dwayne McDuffie worked on it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the guy that created Static Shock and, sadly no longer with us.
Mm-hmm.
But Bruce Timm in 2004 said, at this point, it was still in the works. He says, there is a Justice League DTV in the works. Kind of. What happened was the home video division commissioned us to write a Justice League DTV, right around the time we were gearing up for season 3. McDuffie and I came up with the story. Dwayne wrote a terrific script. I designed loads of new characters. We started storyboarding. Andrea Romano had a killer cast. We were just getting ready to record it, and then home video slammed on the brakes.
Really?
Yeah. Home video slammed on the brakes.
If Andrea Romano's involved, it's a killer cast.
Yeah, home video slammed on the brakes, and it was put on the shelf for the time being. The good thing, this is a good thing, really. The original plan was to do the DTV and season 3 concurrently, but long story short, we would have been stretched way too thin.
Mm-hmm.
JLU is difficult enough show to do by itself without having to prep a feature-length movie at the same time.
Yeah.
Home video is still apparent.
Ask him about how much fun it was to do Mask of the Phantasm.
Yeah. Home video is still interested in making it apparently, so hopefully it'll happen. And then in 2005, he says Worlds Collide was going to bridge seasons 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Besides the origin of the invisible jet, it also set up the supersized JLU concept. But it wound up becoming Crisis on Two Earths. I really wish we had seen this. Like, part of me does anyway.
I really did. That one I would have been happy to have.
Mm-hmm. Now there was another animated DTV that didn't happen, which was Teen Titans: The Judas Contract, and it would have loosely followed the storyline from the comics, but it was canceled due to a lack of quote broad fan base appeal.
The Titans they clean up every time they're on screen?
Yeah.
I mean, every single time they're on screen. I'm still mad that Young Justice didn't get more time.
I know.
It was a damn good show, actually.
I know. Now I guess we're gonna end this out with one more thing.
Okay.
This is something I was talking to you about before.
Uh-huh.
The pre-Gotham.
Mm-hmm.
A long time ago, Warner Brothers and they were looking to do a Gotham show, and they called it Bruce Wayne. God, it followed 18-year-old Bruce Wayne before he became Batman.
Mm-hmm.
They wound up taking the concept and turning it over and making it Smallville eventually.
Okay.
But before it became Smallville, it was Bruce Wayne. And the reason they didn't do Bruce Wayne is because they were actually working on doing the Batman Year One script. They thought they were going to do Batman Year One
as a feature.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were going to do Year One as the feature, and then they didn't want to do the show. So
gotcha. I wish they had done it though. So when Nolan pitched Batman Begins, they would have been told, "Oh, we've already done that."
Mm-hmm. But
Could've saved us all a lot of trouble, guys. Could have saved us all.
So Tim McCanley's is the one that pitched the show, and the pilots, and he did the pilot script. This is the guy that wrote the Iron Giant. And after that made it to film, he was able to do this, and he said it wouldn't focus on Batman's origins, but what happens in the intervening years between the death of Bruce Wayne's parents and his decision to put the cowl on. He says everyone knew the origin, they just didn't know why and how. Here's something cool. HBO was in talks to broadcast this thing. Then Warner Brothers
that's
TV.
That's the closest you've ever gotten to your dream, isn't it?
Yeah.
Huh. I'm sorry for you.
Then,
I am.
I know. Then Warner Brothers.
Did it hurt less when you didn't think it had ever even gotten close?
I don't know.
Did it hurt more to see the word HBO there when you read it?
It made me laugh, actually.
That's fair too.
So Warner Brothers decided it could be a big deal, and but then also realized that they were doing Year One, and they decided to pull their support of it.
Right.
Now they got into the stages of actually talking to people about playing these characters. X-Men's Shawn Ashmore was apparently in talks to play Bruce. David Krumholtz was apparently rumored for Jim Gordon, and Michael Rosenbaum was going to be Harvey Dent.
Oh, wow.
And somewhere in there, someone remembered him and cast him as Lex Luthor on Smallville.
Gotcha. Liked his tape.
Right? I guess.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
So that's all I got for this episode. That's my rundown. That's what's happening.
We'll have another part 4 maybe some way if you go penetrate the internet further.
Yeah, man. I mean, I penetrate the internet on a consistent basis. So I know the internet biblically.
Right.
And
it's in a family way now.
In some ways, like some of this maybe was not worth a whole podcast, but dude, those Adam West projects.
No, that Adam West is worth everything to me. And I had
to talk about Adam West.
I don't know what to tell you, man. 2 words: zombie satellite.
Zombie satellite. Marzies,
good,
y'all.
Marzies. Fucking Marzies. Oh man, he must have done a lot of drugs at one point in his life.
I'm not sure you could have afforded them.
West?
I don't know. I mean, now whenever I think of Adam West,
think back to the time now. Frame. Surely somebody in a room would, pass a blunt to Batman.
Probably. You're not wrong. I forget about that. I forget people are pretty, I guess, generous with drugs for people they like.
I take it back. I'm not sure he did or what I'm sure about is that he either did too much or too little drugs.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I was just,
but he didn't hit that sweet spot, I guess.
I'm thinking of Adam West as in the years between Batman and Family Guy. I'm thinking of Adam West as basically Simon Trent from Beware the Grey Ghost. He's just in like a little 1-room apartment trying to eke out a menial existence.
I'm almost sure he was doing okay.
He meets Burt Ward every Tuesday for lunch down at the Greasy Spoon.
Lunch and a 3:00 orgy. It's back.
They make sure that they're not busy so that they can pitch another Batman movie to DC.
And he goes and checks out Bert's dogs who have apparently been alive for like 35 years.
Take pictures of Burt Ward's penis for the black market.
Right. Next to like a quarter for perspective,
They actually popularized banana for scale.
Oh no.
And on that note, I think that wraps it up, man.
I think so. I'm just gonna go bathe in the warm afterglow of that fucking Adam West pitch is what I'm gonna do.
Right.
I'm just gonna bask in it. Just close my eyes and imagine the film that I wish had happened.
Yeah. Ultimately, though, are you happy that I kept this one close to the vest?
Oh yeah.
Alrighty. Well, good. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as Jason did. This is just a great relief. This is a burden because I've been wanting to talk to Jason about these Adam West pitches for like months.
Right.
It's almost been a pain. Just I think I'm at least 15% further away from a heart attack now.
Right. Your blood pressure just actively dropped, not having to carry that around anymore.
Right.
Well, dear friends, that is all from the past. Let us know what you thought of the first repost we've ever done. I feel good about it. I also feel good about saying that we'll be back in a news discussing capacity next week. And while it may be tough to have to wait so long for new DC on-screen content, rest easy in the knowledge that we are but a tweet away. DC on Screen on Twitter. I personally tweet at David C. Robertson. Jason tweets at DuckDuckGoss. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram, or davidcrobertson@gmail.com, or dconscreen@gmail.com. Until next time, be kind to all members of the DC fanbase family, be kind to the Marvel stans, and keep some DC on your screen. Our intro music is by Jason Goss and Michael Shackelford. Michael's band, Galactic Engineers of Magnetic Sounds, or GEMS, can be found on SoundCloud and Bandcamp. Visit DCOnScreen.com to find our Patreon, merch, contact information, and every episode of the show for free, including crossovers we've done with other podcasts. DC On Screen is a maladjusted production. For more from me and Jason, including sketch comedy, vlogs, parodies, and our improvised web series Hey Guy, visit maladjusted.tv.